the Almighty Pokémon Master. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 776, Champion Town. Damn, you have captured a champion level tortoise? Doesn't that mean you are a champion level trainer? Lan Yuchen said in disbelief, feeling a bit magical. Not only him, but also Zimeng and Qian Zimeng. The three of them have not yet broken through the king level and are still groping at the quasi-king level, but he has already reached the champion level. You have to know that the bottleneck between the king and the champion is different from that between the elite and the quasi-king, or the quasi-king and the king. You can't say that. It counts as my Pokémon, but it's only a name. With my current strength, I can't defeat it. The reason why I can capture it is also due to other factors. Then Zhang Xingyun told the others what happened before. That's good too. You know, this is a champion level Pokémon. I don't know if I can cultivate a champion level Pokémon in this lifetime. I'm afraid it's impossible. Lan Yuchen smiled awkwardly. He was admitted to the Magic City University, so he was naturally talented, but his hope of breaking through the champion level was slim. In the next few days, I'll ask you to take care of the company, Joa. I'm going to take care of things in Xinshi. Zhang Xingyun continued. Okay. Nangang Yeo responded softly. Do you need our help? Qian Zimeng said. No, you three are guests. Why can you help? I'm not treating you well enough. Zhang Xingyun said with a smile. In the evening, at the training ground, Zhang Xingyun was instructing Lizard King in training. Now, except for Lizard King and Jenga, the other Pokémons in the team are considered to be successful and have gone their own way. Nangang Yeo walked out of the house and came to his side. You have to be careful when you go on the mission. You have to pay attention not only to the Pokémons in the wild, but also to others. Don't forget that Kilan from the Rocket team is secretly watching you. You never know when he will appear. As he said that, Nangang Yeo took out a Pokéball and handed it over. I'll leave a Lido here with you, so I can feel more at ease. No, Joa, don't worry, I have a trump card, and the search officers are quite powerful. It's safe enough. Let the Lizard King train by himself, and the two came to sit on the bench next to him. Trumpet? Yes, Joa, you don't have to worry, I know the safety issues. Zhang Xingyun said with a smile, looking confident. You should also pay attention. You are also my girlfriend. Qilang also knows that, with his crazy heart, it is possible to attack Changning. Seeing it like this, Nangang Yeo no longer insisted. Let's not talk about this for now. Joa, what do you think the manor should be named? Otherwise, we can name it after our company. How about Unayeo Manor? Zhang Xingyun suggested with a smile. He still had a keen hope for that place. Maybe it will be the company's foothold in the future. Forget it. It's better to name it after you. How about calling it Champion Town? It's novel. Nangang Yeo thought about it and smiled. Haha, well, let's call it Champion Town. Zhang Xingyun was very satisfied with the name and agreed immediately. After chatting for a long time, the two returned to the house. The next day, Zhang Xingyun went straight to the location of the new city. When he arrived, he happened to meet Yan Wengxun, so they went together. Yan Wengxun also knew that he was called by Pei Yangxing to help. When they arrived at the planned area of the new city, several temporary buildings had been built here, and they were in charge here. Several avenues were also built on the side, and the construction efficiency was extremely fast. When Zhang Xingyun walked into the building, he met many acquaintances, and nodded and greeted them. After a round, I still came here to help. Zhang Xingyun came to Ling Feng and sat down, saying, Ling Feng was also ordered by his superiors to come here to help. Even if Mr. Pei didn't say it, I would have called you. It's a pity for you to stay in the city. It's better to come here to contribute your strength. Ling Feng said with a smile. At this time, many people came into the room one after another, all from the surrounding cities in the provincial capital Yangcheng. Pei Yangxing walked in directly from outside and sat in the first seat. Everyone present had the lowest level of training at the quasi-king level, with about 30 people. There were 7 king level trainers, including Zhang Xingyun, and 1 champion. This configuration also shows the government's attitude towards the new city. This time, the new city still introduced the mana policy and many other policies, which was a new attempt. Seeing that almost everyone had come, Pei Yangxing spoke and started today's meeting. After the meeting, Zhang Xingyun also got a task, which was to explore the underground. Zhang Xingyun had no objection and agreed. Soon, the 4 teams of search officers and more than 100 engineers came to the underground and began to explore. He served as the leader of the temporary team. Exploring the underground is also to drive away some elves occupying the underground and to meet the future city construction. In addition to exploration, the engineers will also install some equipment along the way. Walking in the newly opened underground passage, the smell of damp soil hits you in the face. At this time, more than 100 of them were located 400 meters underground. In this environment, it was also very dangerous. Once attacked by a Pokémon like Steelix, there would be no chance to escape without the protection of a powerful trainer. The engineers were operating the machine, and several teams of search officers looked solemn, watching all directions. "Stop!" Zhang Xingyun shouted loudly. "Team leader, what's wrong?" A middle-aged man wearing a white safety helmet came to Zhang Xingyun and asked. Boom boom boom. As soon as the voice fell, the narrow passage shook violently, and the soil above the passage fell down. "Several Pokémons are coming, you just stay where you are," Zhang Xingyun said lightly, and then his figure suddenly disappeared from the spot. Regirock suddenly appeared, and hit a Steelix on the head with an arm hammer. Woo! The Steelix that was hit let out a cry of pain, and lay down directly. Regirock then made another attack, and after the attack, the Steelix also stopped moving. Raw swish. The Steelixes in the other passages noticed that their companions were attacked and rushed here. Regirock, it's up to you. Reggie. This time, Zhang Xingyun let Regirock go to the battlefield to fight. Most of the time, Regirock stayed in the Pokéball. Now with his strength increasing, Regirock can also go to the battlefield to fight without worrying about being discovered by others. Boom! A burst of sand and dust leaked down, and one of the Steelixes rushed to the scene, raising its head. As soon as it appeared, it saw Regirock's fist. Chapter 777, Regirock's breakthrough to the heaven leaking in the mausoleum. Boom! With a muffled sound, Regirock's attack landed on the head of the Steelix, making a muffled sound. Swish. A dazzling light shot towards the Steelix and hit it. Boom! With this attack, the narrow space shook violently, and the sand and dust leaked out continuously. A faint earthy yellow light shone on Regirock's body. Under the blessing of its power, the surrounding soil and rocks were all settled. Roaring sounds came from the other 2 places. Regirock's figure disappeared on the spot, and the next moment he appeared in front of a Steelix again. He quickly solved one of them. Within half a minute, Regirock solved 3 Steelixes in the middle stage of the Quasi-King, and his speed was extremely fast. There is only one left. The layers of soil in front of Regirock moved, opening up a space. The figure of the Steelix was revealed. Raw sensing the enemy's trace, the Steelix roared, and with the star-like twinkling, this powerful destructive death beam shot straight at it. Boom! Regirock walked out of the smoke and dust, and it was obvious that the Steelix's attack could not hurt it. Seeing this, the Steelix had no intention of fighting, and turned its body, trying to escape. When facing Regirock, it felt extremely huge pressure, and had no intention of fighting. However, as soon as it made a move, Regirock ran towards it. After a few moves, Regirock dealt with the Steelix. A Pokéball hit the Steelix, and took it in. It seems a bit of a waste of talent to let you deal with them. Zhang Xingyun came to Regirock's side, and said to it, "Okay, I'll find a time for you to fight with a level 1 King Pokémon." Regirock's strength at this time was at the peak of the Quasi-King level, and it was naturally easy to deal with a few Quasi-King level Steelixes. Zhang Xingyun sent out his mental power to detect and found nothing. He put away Regirock and flashed to the original place. "It's solved, let's continue," Zhang Xingyun said lightly. "Yes, let's get started, and move quickly. Hahaha, this time you should be the team leader, otherwise we dare not carry out the mission and the safety of the personnel will be threatened." "Yeah," Zhang Xingyun hummed lightly. Seeing Zhang Xingyun's light look, the man continued to flatter. After this place was dealt with, everyone moved to other places. Occasionally, there were elves attacking, some in groups, and some alone. For the stronger ones, Zhang Xingyun personally went on the field, and for the weaker ones, he let other team members go to deal with them. In an open place, Crystal Steelix and Bangulus ate the ore in front of them in large pieces. When they were working, they found this section of the vein. It may be due to the advent of the secret realm. The quality is not low, and it belongs to high-level ore. Zhang Xingyun was naturally not polite, and released Bangulus and the others, to let them have a good meal. The other trainers in the group also released their Pokémons, and ate in other places. Ragi Bangui Zhang Xingyun and Regirock came to the center of the vein, and picked the ore with the most concentrated energy. Raw Crystal Steelix opened its mouth, and ate a lot of ore in a split second. Zhang Xingyun was standing by, and watched them eat the ore with a smile. Ragi Regirock stopped eating, and the energy on his body fluctuated, as if he was about to break through. Is Regirock going to break through to the king? It seems that it is time. Sensing the changing aura on Regirock, Zhang Xingyun also understood that it was breaking through now. Bangui Raw Crystal Steelix and Bangulus also noticed this, stopped eating, came to the vicinity of Regirock, and protected it. Ragi, a powerful energy wave appeared on the scene, and then a huge pressure swept out in all directions. Woo woo. Feeling the powerful aura emitted by Regirock, the Pokémons that were chewing on the ore in other places were all startled and stopped one after another, looking at the direction of Regirock through several layers of soil. Their trainers were relieved to see that it was Zhang Xingyun's place, thinking that a powerful Pokémon was attacking. Since he made this noise, they would not feel strange. The Pokémon that could be subdued by him would not be simple, they thought so. Ragi, a majestic and vast aura emanated from Regirock. Regirock easily broke through the bottleneck of the Heavenly King, and entered the Heavenly King realm. Very good, you have also entered the Heavenly King realm. Zhang Xingyun was full of smiles, and he had high hopes for Regirock. Perhaps in another 6 months, Regirock will be able to catch up with Nidoking and others and become the first sequence in the team. Bangji, Raw Crystal Steelix and Bangurus came forward to congratulate Ragi. Now, only Jenga and Lizard King are left. While thinking, Lizard King and others also appeared from the Pokeball and congratulated it. After this time, we have to concentrate on sprinting, and see if Crystal Steelix and others can break through the champion before the Water City Secret Realm. Zhang Xingyun was planning in his mind. He didn't forget about the Water City Secret Realm. This secret realm is related to the 2 mythical beasts. There should be a lot of treasures there. Maybe he can get a lot of treasures that will help Pidgeot and others break through the champion. Afterwards, Zhang Xingyun picked out the remaining ore and packed it away. Crystal Steelix and others are big consumers of ore, and ordinary families can't afford to support them. When Zhang Xingyun came to the surface, it was already a little dark. They spent a day exploring the surrounding area for more than dozens of kilometers, and installed the equipment. It has been a long time since I stayed underground for a whole day, and I feel very uncomfortable. However, today Regirock broke through to Heavenly King and got a batch of resources, so Zhang Xingyun was in a good mood. It is estimated that he will come here to help for a period of time in the future, which can be regarded as the price for him to leave the Earth Turtle. Xingyun, do you want to explore the newly discovered mausoleum together? Zhang Xingyun had just sat down for a while when Ling Feng beside him spoke. Mausoleum? What mausoleum? Zhang Xingyun asked in confusion. Oh, it's like this. Today, Yan Wengxuan found a mausoleum in this area. It's quite large. Is that so? Zhang Xingyun nodded, indicating that he knew. The higher-ups have also sent a team of archaeologists here. It is estimated that they will be here in the next few days. I don't know what they will find. Ling Feng said slowly. Chapter 778 Tomb. An inexplicable force was detected there, and the scale is not small. Based on past experience, this mausoleum must not be simple. Ling Feng guessed. The higher-ups also attach great importance to it. Mr. Pei asked me to take full responsibility, so I came to you. How about going with me? It is equivalent to staying here to help. Finally, Zhang Xingyun also agreed and joined the action. Zhang Xingyun had also encountered mausoleums before, and had encountered one in the Great Desert of Xinjiang. Whether a mausoleum can unearth valuable things is not certain. Some will, and some will not. It all depends on luck. However, domestic archaeologists are very interested in mausoleums. In their view, through archaeology, they can know the information of the elf world and perhaps gain some technology or cultivation methods. Many current cultivation methods are found in such mausoleums. However, although mausoleums have great archaeological value, they are also very dangerous. The elves that are still alive in the mausoleums are very cruel and bloodthirsty, and each archaeological excavation requires a group of powerful trainers to escort them. After saying goodbye to Lingfeng, Zhang Xingyun returned to the villa in Changning. After coming back to rest for a night, I also took the giant mantis and the giant gold monster with me. What? A mausoleum was found in your place? Lan Yuchen said loudly during dinner in the evening. Yes, so tomorrow or the next day, we should go to explore the mausoleum. A team of archaeologists has been sent down from above, and it will be in the next few days. Zhang Xingyun said. Exploring the mausoleum, I'll go with you. It's exciting just to think about it. Lan Yuchen continued. I want to go too. Zi Mengmeng next to him also spoke up, clamoring to go together. She was also very interested in this kind of exploration activities. Now that she heard about the appearance of the mausoleum, she was naturally interested. I've also visited the surrounding attractions. It's boring to stay here now. I'll go with you tomorrow. Lan Yuchen said excitedly. Hey, do you really want to go? Yes, isn't it inconvenient? Well, we can also protect those archaeologists. Free labor is not a problem at the moment. Lan Yuchen said again. After discussing for a while, Zhang Xingyun also agreed to take them there tomorrow. On the second day, Zhang Xingyun and his party flew towards the new city. Nangang Yeo also came with them, and the company's station was also guarded by elves. On the way, they met many trainers, who also responded to the policy, and took on the construction task of the new city. The construction of a city naturally requires huge manpower and material resources, so there will be no tasks, so trainers from the society will be involved. When Zhang Xingyun and his party arrived, they saw that many people came to the original buildings. Looking at their equipment, they knew that there were archaeologists who came here. The leaders were all grey-haired old men, dressed very formally, and their hair was combed meticulously. There were more than 10 young people on the side, who were their students, and some technicians wiping the machines. Xingyun is here. Lingfeng came over, and the two chatted. Here, Uncle Ling, I have several college classmates who want to go with me. It should be okay. They are more interested in this, and can help a little. Zhang Xingyun chuckled, and then introduced Lan Yuchen and others. Of course you can. Lingfeng replied with a smile and agreed directly. After resting for a while, together with the archaeologists, a total of more than 200 people rushed towards the direction of the mausoleum. At around 9 o'clock in the morning, they arrived at their destination. Yan Wenxuan and others were waiting here. It seems that there is something strange about this mausoleum. So many people have come. Zhang Xingyun looked at Yan Wenxuan and others, and thought to himself. This area has been blocked off, and there are soldiers patrolling in the distance. Zhang Xingyun looked into the distance, where there was an unusual energy fluctuation, which was powerful and ancient. You feel it too? Nangang Yeo came to his side and said. Yes, I feel it. Zhang Xingyun nodded. The archaeologists quickly got to work, each doing their own job, and preparing for the preparations and changing clothes. Zhang Xingyun and others came to an inscription on the inscription, which was still covered with mud, and engraved with questions that everyone could not understand. The words on it, because of the passage of time, some of the words have become blurred. Who knows what's written on it? 5 people gathered around the 2-meter high and 1-meter wide stele. I don't know. I don't know much about this. Zhang Xingyun shook his head and said. Meng Meng, come and take a look. You have some knowledge. See if you can understand it. Nangang Yeo asked Zi Meng Meng to look forward. The words on it, I seem to have seen them in a newspaper. These words are super ancient, and I don't understand them very well. After watching for a while, Zi Meng Meng said slowly. Destruction. Power. Dark sky. Helpless. I only recognize these words. I don't know the meaning of the others. There should be no translation error. Zi Meng Meng looked at the phone, and then looked at the inscription on it. Although I don't understand these, but from what you said, I know that this mausoleum is definitely not simple. Lan Yuchen dragged his chin and said in a deep voice, "You might as well not say anything. You look like it's not simple either." Zimeng retorted, "I don't know if you feel it, but I feel an ancient and obscure power standing here." Zhang Xingyun said, looking at Lan Yuchen and the others. "Do you feel it?" They immediately used their minds and paid attention to their surroundings. "No, me neither." "Me too." After feeling it, Zimeng and the other two said no. "Joa and I felt it." "Is that so?" The three looked at each other, as they were also capable people, but they couldn't feel it. "Hello, please make way," a beautiful woman in a white research suit said, with a pleasant voice coming from behind. Behind her, there were 7 or 8 people following. Seeing this, the others immediately made way and let them move forward. They gathered in front of the inscription, some looking at the documents, and some holding magnifying glasses and other items to study. Zimeng saw them studying and joined them. Soon, she mixed with the girls and studied together. Seeing this, Zhang Xingyun walked aside and paid attention to the surroundings. Chapter 779 Black Darkness and Golden Eyes. Zimeng's social skills are not bad. After a while, she chatted and laughed with several girls. "Sisterly eyeing, you are really amazing. You even know this," Zimeng said softly. "No, everyone has their own expertise. I'm engaged in this industry, so I naturally need to understand these things. It is the same for you as a trainer," Liang replied with a smile. "They are students of Shenzhen University, students of Pokémon archaeology. This time they were transferred and came here to start research." Meng is a bit of a social bull," Nangang Yao said, standing on the side with Zhang Xingyun, watching this scene. "Isn't he always like this?" Zhang Xingyun followed. The rest of the people on the side also moved and started working. Ling Feng and other trainers also summoned Pokémon and were ready to go on stage at any time. "Everyone, I know what is written on it." Zimeng walked in front of several people with a smile on her face. "Oh, what is that? Tell me about it." After Sister Liang's suggestion, it says that there are 2 forces that destroy the world. Black darkness, which dyes the sky black, and golden eyes, which dye the air chaotic. Zhang Xingyun was slightly startled. This sentence felt a little familiar, but he suddenly couldn't remember it. "Hey Meng, who is the elf written on it? It seems very powerful." After listening, Lan Yuchen asked, "I don't know for the time being, but this is what the text means. Professor, something has appeared, come and take a look." On the other side, a young researcher in the team shouted, and the grey-haired old men came over, and Ling Feng followed. The professors came to a stone door with text images carved on it, which looked like a palace gate. They held a brush in their left hand and a magnifying glass in their right hand, and gathered there to study. "Let's go and take a look. We should be able to know more," Zimeng said, and then followed. His Zhang Xingyun released Zheng Xingyun and let him get ready in the shadow. Lan Yuchen and the others also released their Pokémons and stayed beside them. "Xingyun is ready. When this door is opened, there should be something inside," Ling Feng reminded. "Yes, I know. How about Professor Lin? Can we find out what type of tomb this is?" Ling Feng stepped forward and said, "The information we have now is not comprehensive. We can only know that this tomb inside is super ancient and is about Pokémons." "Super ancient?" "Yes, based on my many years of experience, this place has great research value," Professor Lin said very affirmatively. Boom, the huge stone door slowly retreated, splashing up billowing smoke and dust. "Here we go. I wonder what's inside. Will the darkness and the golden eyes still be inside?" Lan Yuchen was slightly excited. The inscription described it so awesomely, so the real thing shouldn't be so bad. The props that were found were inserted into it, and what came into everyone's eyes was a long corridor leading directly to the pitch black darkness inside. Zhang Xingyun and other trainers released Pokémons and walked forward first. After eliminating the dangerous factors, let the researchers in. Zhang Xingyun was walking in the corridor when he suddenly heard a crisp sound like a mechanism, and everyone became alert. Half a minute passed, and there was no other danger. Maybe it's too long, and the mechanisms here are all out of order, Zhang Xingyun guessed. After waiting for a few seconds, everyone continued to move forward. There were also a few crisp sounds, but they were just sounds, without the imagined mechanisms. The deeper he went, the stronger the power Zhang Xingyun felt, and he became secretly alert. The materials used on both sides of the steep road can interfere with the supernatural powers of several people, suppressing the scope of exploration, and the deeper he went, the stronger the suppression. While Zhang Xingyun and his group were exploring inside, Professor Lin and Liang and his group outside also made a discovery. They were gathered together, looking at the two objects in the middle and studying them. One object was similar to a soup spoon, and the other was cone-shaped at both ends, with a small hole in the middle. Both objects were khaki, and they were shining with spiritual light. These two things were discovered by researchers in another place. When the students saw that they were extraordinary, they immediately sent them here for the professors to watch and study. The professors studied for a long time, but they couldn't figure it out. They walked to the side and looked up the classics. "Sister, do you know what that is?" "The teachers don't know, let alone me, I don't know either." Liang smiled bitterly, but looking at the flashing light on it and thinking of the words on the previous inscription, an idea suddenly appeared in her mind. Could this be related to the golden eyes? Liang thought so. Bang 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 underground, Zhang Xingyun and his group were attacked by a group of elves. After a roar, the attacking elves were all defeated and lay on the ground. The few people were in a spacious space. In the distance, there were piles of stone coffins, which were overturned on the ground. There were bones scattered on the ground, and some golden jewels. Why are most of the elves in the cemetery turned into stitched monsters? They seem to have no intelligence at all, and they can't even collect elf balls. After the battle subsided, Lang Yuchen looked at the elves lying on the ground and said, "These elves can't be called real elves, and their appearance is very strange. Maybe it's because they devoured each other in the cemetery. That's also possible." Boom boom, the wall next to it made a rumbling sound, and a deep hole appeared in front of everyone. "Uncle Ling, do we still need to move forward?" Zhang Xingyun looked at Ling Feng and asked. "Go on." "Okay." The 5 people and more than 20 investigators entered the deep passage together. "Hey, there's something painted on it. Let's see what it is." Shining the lighting tool on the wall, everyone was able to see the picture on it clearly. It was a Jenga, and at its feet, there was a group of houses. In this comparison, Jenga seemed so huge. Looking further, another alakazam was seen. Looking further, 2 elves started fighting, and the original group of houses was also turned into ruins in the battle between the 2 elves. Wait, isn't this the one with the giant Jenga and the giant alakazam? Looking at the picture above, and thinking about the meaning of the group of words on the inscription, Zhang Xingyun suddenly remembered that it was the giant alakazam and the giant Jenga, 2 Pokémon said to have super ancient powers. No wonder he felt a little familiar. It turned out to be this. Chapter 780, Giant Jenga and Giant Alakazam. "What's wrong, Xingyun? Did you find anything?" Zimengmeng, who was standing next to him, looked at Zhang Xingyun and asked. "No, I didn't find anything. Look at the mural above. Could this Jenga be the Black Darkness? Aren't the golden eyes the Alakazam?" Zhang Xingyun pointed at the mural above and said, "It's really possible." Several people looked at the mural and thought it made sense. Then the sky was black and the air was messed up. Doesn't that mean that the elves are powerful? Nangang Yeo frowned and said, "According to what was said above, these 2 elves have affected the environment. Even the sky has turned black and the air has been disturbed. Is it exaggerated? If they can have such power, they must have at least the strength of a champion, or even above the champion. The realm of legend?" Zimengmeng said softly. Zhang Xingyun stood aside, looking at the record above thoughtfully. In the anime, the giant Jenga and the giant Alakazam were caused by the power of the super ancient times. After the 2 elves appeared, they would start fighting, and fight until the sky was dark. It was the giant Jigglypuff who stopped them. Only with the giant Jigglypuff stopped did the situation calm down. Zhang Xingyun looked at the records above, and felt that they were a bit exaggerated. With the giant Jenga and the giant Alakazam, it is unlikely that the world will be destroyed or split into 2. If it is the legendary elves, it may be possible. The giant Jenga and the giant Alakazam are somewhat unlikely, or the person who recorded it has never seen a stronger elf, and the strongest elves are these 2 elves. In addition to their huge size and the battle scene, the description is a bit exaggerated. Of course, although the exaggeration is a bit exaggerated, Zhang Xingyun estimates that these 3 elves with super ancient power are also very powerful. Outside, in a place where mining is being carried out, after opening the door of a tomb, the team found a shrine in a tomb. There is a black object in the shrine. The object is 3 black beads put together. The middle one is small, and the beads at both ends are large, which are flashing a deep light. Around the shrine, strange patterns were carved, and weak energy was flashing on them. When the door of the tomb was opened, the black object of the shrine lit up. What is that? Why is it emitting light? I don't know. Call Professor Lin and the others over. Several students and the staff said. This cry came from the light, and a blood red eye suddenly appeared in the light. Boom, there was a tremor. The earth seemed to be stretched apart, and the gravel rolled. What's going on? Liang and others in front of the mausoleum were also affected, and they didn't know why it suddenly happened. A huge monster appeared in front of everyone. It was a huge Jenga as big as a hill, emitting an ancient and terrifying aura, and there were strange patterns on its body. Is this a Jenga? Is there a Jenga this big? The people present were shocked. This was the first time they had seen such a huge Jenga. The clouds in the sky rolled up, and black clouds appeared in the sky, quickly blocking the sunlight outside, and the environment quickly dimmed. Yang Wenxun, who was guarding outside, saw the giant Jenga appear, and immediately arranged for the personnel to retreat, and also asked for help from above at the first time. Judging from the aura of the giant Jenga in front of him, he was no match. Boom, why is there an earthquake? In a tomb below, Zhang Xingyun and others felt a violent shaking, just after reading the murals. There should be something up there, let's get out quickly. Ling Feng said immediately, and everyone quickly retreated. When Zhang Xingyun and others came to the ground, they saw the giant Jenga. It seems that this is the ruins. Zhang Xingyun thought to himself. On the other side, on the retreating vehicle of Liang, Professor Lin and others, 2 yellow objects suddenly emitted a dazzling light. Crack, the glass containing the objects suddenly shattered, and the 2 yellow objects floated up, then touched each other, and lit up a dazzling light. A huge figure slowly appeared on the field. A giant alakazam holding a soup spoon appeared on the field, blocking the way for several people to retreat. Fortunately, the alakazam didn't pay attention to them, and looked directly at the giant Jenga. His mountain-sized body floated up, and with his hands moving, a phantom ray of light shot over. A dark ray of light also shot over from the giant Jenga. The 2 attacks collided with each other, and there was a loud noise. A powerful airwave swept around, and smoke and dust rolled, and the airwave was like a tide. It's really the 2 of them. After Zhang Xingyun came out, he saw the giant alakazam and the giant Jenga, and said in his heart, boom boom boom. The 2 Pokémon started fighting on the field, and the whole field was in a mess. Hurry up and cover the archaeologists to retreat. Ling Feng shouted, summoned his Charizard, and flew into the smoke. Seeing this, Zhang Xingyun and others also took action to help the people retreat. The giant Jenga roared in the battle, and the few people who were close to it suddenly stopped and disappeared from the spot along with several elves, and appeared in the stomach of the giant Jenga the next moment. Oh no, several brothers have disappeared. Sister Liang, you should leave quickly, they will find a way to save them. Meng Meng and the other 2 escorted a team of people including Liang, and quickly retreated to the outside. Stop. In the chaotic venue, Yan Wenxun saw the giant Jenga looking at the other people, and a light flashed in his eyes. He wanted to repeat the old trick and immediately launched a counterattack. He summoned his elves, and launched a counterattack against Jenga. Bang bang bang, the smoke and dust dissipated, revealing the figure of Jenga. The attacks of Yan Wenxun and several king elves fell on it, as if there was no effect. Jenga looked at him. Suddenly, Yan Wenxun felt a strong energy appear around him, binding him, and he couldn't move. His elves could still move, struggling on the spot. Then, he and several Pokémons, under the control of a force, slowly drifted towards the giant Jenga. In a flash, Zhang Xingyun appeared halfway, his eyes glowing, and a powerful superpower burst out, stopping the figures of Yan Wenxun and his Pokémon. The appearance of Zhang Xingyun also attracted the attention of Jenga, and a pair of blood red eyes looked at him, increasing the power of control. Crystal Steelix Dragon Breath. Nidoking Earthquake. Giant Claw Mantis Destruction Death Ray. Roar on the ground. 3 Pokémons launched their moves, and attacked it together. Chapter 781, Zhang Xingyun's Pursuit and Attack. Boom. After being attacked by 3 Pokémons, the giant Jenga took a step back. Zhang Xingyun and his Pokémons also resumed their actions. Hiss. In front of the giant Jenga, a huge shadow ball condensed and was thrown with a sharp sound of wind. Nido. Seeing this, Nidoking and his friends immediately launched an attack and rushed forward 3 times in a row. Boom boom boom. The aftermath of the shadow ball was blocked by Nidoking's guardhouse. Zhang Xingyun took this opportunity to take the people below and teleported to their original position, sending them away. Hiss. Seeing that his attack was blocked, the black energy on the giant Jenga's body was surging and the aura was also rising. Nidoking and his friends felt very depressed. Late champion. When Zhang Xingyun returned, he felt the aura of the giant Jenga and murmured, maybe it just woke up. Judging from Jenga's breath, it is a late champion Pokémon, but Zhang Xingyun can feel that as time goes by, Jenga's breath is still slowly rising. Who on the other side, Nangang Yeo also released Alakazam to help the rest of the people retreat. While rescuing people, he was also noticed by Alakazam. Maybe it was an outsider. The 2 huge Pokémon stopped attacking each other and turned their energy to Zhang Xingyun and others. Taking this opportunity, the ground search officer arranged for the personnel to retreat and smooth the road. Boom. A huge mushroom cloud rose up and Nidoking and others were defeated under Jenga's attack. Zhang Xingyun assisted on the side, and there was also a champion's early Super Crystal Steelix blocking in front. Nidoking and Giant Claw Mantis also suffered considerable injuries. A shadow came over, and a sky-high black fist smashed down on them. It was a shadow fist move, used by the giant Jenga, and the power was even greater. Boom boom boom. Jenga's huge shadow fist directly made a huge hole in the ground. Zhang Xingyun teleported to another direction and released Crystal Steelix and the others. At the critical moment, Zhang Xingyun took the 3 of them back into the Pokéball and then teleported a long distance in an instant to avoid Jenga's attack. Hiss. Seeing that his attack did not work, Jenga's huge body floated up and then rushed towards him, attacking him one after another. Zhang Xingyun knew that this Jenga had noticed him and he did not dare to take his attack head on, dodging repeatedly. The field was very chaotic and the incident happened suddenly. No one noticed that Zhang Xingyun was being chased by the giant Jenga. Even if someone noticed it, they could not do anything because he was the strongest on the field. Nangang Yeo was being stared at by the giant Alakazam, and he could not get away to support him. Giant Jenga and Giant Alakazam have appeared. Why hasn't Giant Jigglypuff appeared yet? Zhang Xingyun thought to himself, and his figure flashed and appeared in a green jungle. Zhang Xingyun remembered that after the giant Jenga and the giant Alakazam appeared, the giant Jigglypuff would appear. And now, I don't know why the giant Jigglypuff hasn't appeared yet, and I don't know what happened. But now is not the time to think about this. The giant Jenga's attack is coming again. Zhang Xingyun just used the energy in his body and wanted to teleport across the space, but suddenly felt that the space around him suddenly condensed, as if there was a powerful energy interfering. He couldn't teleport. Trouble. Zhang Xingyun also knew that it was the work of the giant Jenga. He saw that there were dark energy surging around him, blocking the space and preventing him from teleporting. Hiss. The giant Jenga slowly rushed towards him, and a terrifying pressure spread towards him. Perhaps the attack of Crystal Steelix and the other 3 just now made it remember him. Raunido, Habu, Crystal Steelix and other Pokémon appeared from the Pokéballs one after another. Boom. The electric shock beast used all its strength, and thunders lit up the clouds in the sky. Bang. Gyarados danced with a raging sandstorm, turning the surrounding area into a sandstorm. Dragonite, Charizard and the others also used all their strength to prepare for battle. The next moment, the General Elf felt that the sky and the earth were pitch black. In the dim space, there were many attacks. The figure of the giant Jenga rose from the ground, and the attack came again. Bang bang bang. The thunder of the electric shock monster was blocked by the black energy, and Bang. Gyarados' sandstorm was also broken under the erosion of the shadow. The attacks of Charizard, Dragonite and other elves were the same. The power of both sides was not at the same level, and they were broken in an instant. The situation of the 3 Crystal Steel Snakes was better, but it was not optimistic. Hiss. The giant Jenga opened its huge mouth, and its bloodshot eyes shone red. Zhang Xingyun felt a huge suction force pulling him. This was the work of the giant Jenga again. sucking them into her body. If they were sucked in, perhaps what awaited them was to become one with it. Zhang Xingyun and the other elves were still resisting a huge suction force. The situation was quite dangerous. Facing a late champion Jenga, and this giant Jenga was still slowly getting stronger, he really couldn't beat it. Ho when he wanted to use other means. A Pokeball on his belt moved, and a small green figure ran out of the Pokeball. It was Zygarde in its core form. The suction force suddenly stopped. This power is so familiar. Zygarde in its core form murmured. Hiss. The giant Jenga also sensed Zygarde's breath and stopped, looking at the suddenly appearing Pokémon in front of him with a pair of bloodshot eyes. It seems that you are in danger, Zygarde said lightly, with a bright green light on his body, and his body shape changed rapidly. He had been taking care of him for so long, and now he was in danger. It was natural for him to help. From a cell shape to a Pokémon the size of a Doberman, the small body exuded a terrifying pressure, and the strength reached the peak of the champion realm. This form is 10% of its form. The thick black clouds in the sky were also broken, and the sunlight outside shone in. The black energy of the giant Jenga was broken together, and the energy fluctuations that originally bound him also disappeared. Zygarde moved. Waves of energy bodies rose from the ground, and from all directions, they surrounded the giant Jenga in the middle. This is its ultimate move, Thousand Waves. The giant Jenga naturally would not surrender, and waves of dark energy swept out from its huge body, collided with Zygarde's Thousand Waves. Buzz. The two powerful attacks collided with each other, making a heavy explosion. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 782 Zygarde vs. Giant Jenga. Zhang Xingyun and the other elves stayed aside, watching the battle between the two. In the field, the giant Jenga released waves of black energy, which rushed in all directions, and collided with Zygarde's Thousand Waves. The moves that Jenga then used, were crushed by Zygarde's attack, layer by layer, and reached the bottom of the giant Jenga. Boom. Under this attack, the giant Jenga was lifted up and flew backwards. Along the way, it knocked down countless trees and plowed each on the ground. Hiss. The terrifying ghost energy emerged from the giant Jenga and eroded everywhere. A green light flashed on Zygarde's body, and the space around the giant Jenga seemed to be blocked. The ghost energy emitted was bound to one side, unable to move forward or backward. Hiss. The giant Jenga naturally would not sit there and wait for death. It struggled violently, but could not break free. After struggling for many times, seeing that it could not break free, Jenga's eyes lit up, and he used a powerful mental thought with terrifying power to attack Zygarde. The ground shook, and earth walls rose from the ground, and the earth walls flashed with earthy yellow light. Bang bang bang. The attacks of the giant Jenga were all blocked. Then the ground shook violently again, and the ground for several kilometers around was churning, like a dragon turning over. The scene was very magnificent. In the cracks of the ground, there were lines of ground energy, shining with yellow light, and they all blasted towards Jenga. This is a ground-based move, Earthquake. Jenga launched a counter-attack again but failed. Zygarde's moves fell on it again, causing new injuries. Awesome. Zhang Xingyun, who was watching the battle, said softly. The giant Jenga, who had chased him and made him flee in embarrassment, seemed to have no power to fight back against Zygarde. In these few moves, he did not gain any advantage and fell into an absolute disadvantage. It's hard to imagine that it is so powerful. Why did it fall into such a weak situation at the beginning? What kind of situation did it encounter? Zhang Xingyun was shocked. When it met Zygarde, it was very weak. It was estimated that it could not even beat ordinary elves, but it was not as powerful as it is now. The place where Nangang Yeo and others were located, the original flat ground turned into a broken ruin, and several elves were besieging the giant Alakazam. Sandstorms were flying around, and two bandicoots were attacking the giant Alakazam fiercely. The land shark in the sky made a loud dragon roar, cooperating with the strong bandicoot on the ground to deal with the giant Alakazam. Originally, when Nangang Yeo, Ling Feng and others were about to be unable to resist, Pei Yangxing arrived at the scene in time. who the giant Alakazam moved both hands, and the spoon-shaped props in his hands collided with each other, emitting a huge energy wave, hitting the flying sandstorm, and breaking its space. The aftermath continued to rush towards the flying Garchomp in the sky. Then he used all his strength to attack the two Bankuras fiercely. For a moment, the giant Alakazam was 3 against 1, and he was not at a disadvantage, and he was at ease. The figure of the giant Alakazam disappeared on the spot, and the next second he suddenly appeared in the sky, not far from the Garchomp, with his hands crossed, starlight shining, and a destructive death light broke through the air, wrapped the Garchomp in it, and fell to the ground. Boomar on the ground, Garchomp rushed out of the smoke and dust, wearing a dragon-shaped coat, and flew towards the giant Alakazam. The giant Alakazam disappeared on the spot again, used teleportation to avoid the attack, and turned to attack the Bankuras on the ground. Garchomp bent his body, adjusted his direction, and chased after it again. Boom boom boom, several Pokémons on the field were fighting in a melee, and the ground was also damaged. At a collapsed place, something like a chime was exposed on the ground. With the influence of the aftermath of the battle, the chime was shaken out of the ground and rolled to a place. The chime was shining with spiritual light. After a few seconds, the light lit up, and a Pokémon came out of the chime and appeared on the field. It was also a giant Pokémon, and it looked like Jigglypuff. When Jigglypuff appeared on the field, he looked around in confusion. When he saw the giant Alakazam, his eyes condensed, and then he looked in the direction where the giant Jenga went away. Trouble, another Pokémon. Seeing the giant Jigglypuff appear, Zhang Xingyun frowned. At present, he was struggling to deal with an Alakazam, and now a giant Jigglypuff appeared. The situation was very dangerous for him. On the other side, Zhang Xingyun was rushing in one direction. Kixie Bluebird, hurry up, fly here. Zhang Xingyun rode on the back of Kixie Bluebird and flew towards Zhang Xingyun. Just now, she was entangled by Hoodie, and she saw him being chased and flying in this direction, and she was very worried. As soon as she got out of the way, she immediately rushed here. Although he always brings miracles, Zhang Xingyun will not pin her hopes on miracles. Wait for me, Xingyun. Kixie Bluebird, hurry up. Hearing her words, Kixie Bluebird flew faster. Boom, under Zygarde's attack, the huge Jenga was defeated again and again. His Jenga let out a high roar, and the dark energy on his body churned more violently, and his aura rose again, and soon he reached the peak of the late champion. Between his gestures, he seemed more manic and more powerful. With a strong blow, he broke Zygarde's restraints, and his huge body floated off the ground, to avoid the attack from the ground. Stronger again, Zhang Xingyun said, after noticing the changes in the giant Jenga. When he first reached the ground, the giant Jenga was at the peak of the middle champion stage. Later, it was promoted to the late champion stage. Now, it is no match for Zygarde, and it has improved its strength and reached the peak of the late champion stage. Zhang Xingyun was also thankful. If there was no Zygarde this time, he would have been doomed to face the giant Jenga at the peak of the late champion stage. The eyes of the giant Jenga became more and more red, and his behavior became more crazy. Waving a pair of giant fists, shadow fists attacked Zygarde from all directions. In the eyes of Jenga, only this little thing in front of it made it feel a fatal threat. Zhang Xingyun next to it was ignored by it. As long as it dealt with it in front of it, this human and his elf would be dealt with. The two fought fiercely again. The surrounding forest, which was originally full of green, has now become a white land. Many elves who failed to escape were also attacked by the aftermath of the battle between the two and died here. The elves who had escaped successfully looked back in awe and then ran away. They didn't want to stay in this place for a moment. This was a fight between gods, and they, the mortals, suffered. Chapter 783 Finalization. On the field, Jenga and Zygarde stood on each side. Jenga was in a dark field and was restricted. The shadow energy emitted by his body could not spread further. Soon, it made a move. Jenga's huge body sank into the ground and quickly approached Zygarde. When it sank into the ground, Zygarde also made a move, landing on the ground, his front limbs touching the ground, and an invisible wave spread from the ground. Bang, his Jenga was forced out of the ground, and his entire huge body pressed forward. Crystal Steelix, Dragon's Breath. Nidoking Earthquake. At this time, Zhang Xingyun also commanded the elves to attack it. He couldn't just stand by and watch. Helping more or less is also helping. The huge Jenga easily resisted his attack, changed his tactics, and attacked Zygarde at close range. Zygarde's body seemed very small compared to the huge Jenga, but its strength was not small. Arrow-like attacks shot out from its body, overwhelming the sky and shooting at Jenga in front of it, causing considerable damage. Bang bang bang, his Jenga cried out in pain after being attacked, but he continued his movements, wrapping Zygarde in his arms with his hands. The shadow energy on his body boiled violently, surging and spinning wildly with it as a center, turning the surrounding area into a dark and lightless field. The dark field was filled with a sense of death and desolation. In the dark field, Zygarde's position was shining green, and he moved his body to attack again. The dragon wave swept around, and 1,000 waves and 1,000 arrows were fired at the same time, following Jenga's direction. Boom, the dark field condensed by Jenga was instantly broken, and the huge dark energy lost control and ran around. Zygarde's remaining moves all hit Jenga. It should be there. Tanabata Bluebird, hurry up. Nangangyeo urged after hearing the sound. When she arrived, she saw a huge Jenga being knocked to the ground by a small green Pokémon. What Pokémon is that? It was a bit far away, so she couldn't see it. Then she searched the field, and soon found Zhang Xingyun's trace and summoned Alakazam. Excuse me, Alakazam, take me there. Alakazam nodded weakly. He was injured in the duel with Alakazam, and then teleported with her to Zhang Xingyun's side. Are you okay, Xingyun? Nangangyeo said hurriedly. I'm fine. Zhang Xingyun replied. I'm glad you're okay. Nangangyeo looked at him, then looked at Nidoking and other Pokémon, and found that they were all fine, so she was relieved. That's Zygarde. Nangangyeo looked over again, and recognized who the small green Pokémon was. How did Zygarde appear here? And he is fighting against Jenga? Seeing this scene, Nangangyeo was very confused and looked at him. Well, Zygarde is here to help me. What? Help you? Hearing him say this, Nangangyeo was shocked. Zygarde was here to help him. The legendary beast of order came to help him. Yes, it's also luck. I also met it in the wild. Zhang Xingyun explained briefly. I'm sorry, Joa, I concealed its existence, because I didn't know if it wanted to be known by you. Zhang Xingyun apologized again. It's okay, it's okay. I wish there were more of these things. Considering it, Nangangyeo could understand. Then there's nothing else. Zhang Xingyun followed. Oh. La la la. While talking, a melodious song came from a distance, which made people feel a little drowsy after listening to it. Who is singing? I actually feel sleepy. Zhang Xingyun quickly gathered his mind, and the sleepiness was reduced a little. After the song sounded, Jenga seemed to have reacted, but stopped moving, and the boiling energy on his body suddenly calmed down. A black object flew from a distance, as if it had a sense, and came to Jenga. Under the influence of the song, the object burst into brilliant light, shining on the huge Jenga, and then the huge Jenga was taken back by the black object. After Jenga was taken back, the several people who had been taken in by it were separated from its body, and fell to the ground. Seeing Jenga was taken back, Zygarde came to Zhang Xingyun. Thank you, Zygarde. Well, I hope you don't tell anyone about my existence. Zygarde looked at Nangangyeo and said. I promise I won't. Nangangyeo said immediately. Zygarde turned directly into red light and returned to the Pokeball. This battle also consumed a lot of his strength. After seeing it return to the Pokeball, Nangangyeo still felt a little incredible. What's wrong? Are you stupid? Zhang Xingyun stretched out his hand and shook it in front of her. You are the fool. Nangangyeo laughed and scolded. Is this the thing that seals Jenga? Is it an ancient Pokeball? Zhang Xingyun looked at the black object at hand and said softly. A figure flew quickly from the distance. It was Pei Yangxing riding on the back of Garchomp. Soon he came to the two of them. Great, you two are fine. Pei Yangxing said thankfully. Then he jumped off Garchomp. When he jumped off, he was followed by a Jigglypuff. This Jigglypuff was holding two objects in his hand. At this time, he came to Zhang Xingyun and gestured to him. Do you want this? Zhang Xingyun picked up the black object and said to Jigglypuff. Hearing this, Jigglypuff nodded. It's like this, Xingyun. This Jigglypuff is also a Pokémon in the mausoleum. It appeared to stop Jenga and awakens. It woke up later and is very friendly to us humans. Zhang Xingyun explained beside him. By the way, this Jigglypuff will also transform into a giant form. According to Professor Lin, it also has super ancient power and is very valuable for research. Maybe there will be new major elves discovered. Zhang Xingyun added. Well, this is very likely. Zhang Xingyun nodded. Finally, under Zhang Xingyun's persuasion, Zhang Xingyun handed the black object in his hand to Jigglypuff and asked it to keep it. Not to mention the strength of this Jigglypuff. It has the strength of the late champion peak, and its aura is still rising. Zhang Xingyun also reported the three of them, and there will be arrangements soon. Whether it is the research value or the strength value of the three of them, they will also be taken seriously by the relevant departments. Chapter 784. Conversation with Zygarde afterwards. Zhang Xingyun and his partner returned to the construction site of Xinshi, and Lan Yuchen and his team came to meet them. Thank God. Yao, you two are finally back. I'm sorry, we can't help you much. Seeing the two return safely, Zimeng was relieved. Although she was very confident in their strength, they encountered a giant Jenga this time. Zimeng couldn't tell the specific strength of the giant Jenga, but looking at its appearance and the terrifying aura it exuded, she knew that the giant Jenga must be difficult to deal with. Their strength was low, and they couldn't help. If they went, they might make things worse. Well, I hope everyone is okay, Nangang Yao said with a smile. Several people came to the arranged room and found a place to sit down. It's really scary. This time I actually encountered such a huge alakazam and Jenga. I don't know how they grow so big. I don't know what they eat normally. Lan Yuchen was surprised. He encountered a giant Jenga and a giant alakazam today, which broke his understanding of Pokémon. There are actually such huge Pokémon. Hey, the world of elves is so big, it's not impossible for this to happen. Zhang Xingyun smiled. Elves have another scientific name, called Pokémon, which also has the word magical. Hey Xingyun, how did you get rid of the giant Jenga's pursuit? What happened later? Zimeng looked at him and asked curiously. Just running all the way, delaying a few times in the middle, and then there was a singing voice behind me. Zhang Xingyun briefly recounted the matter, hiding the matter of Zygarde in his words. That's also amazing. If I ran it the first time, I wouldn't be able to escape. Lan Yuchen waved his hand and exclaimed. This is why the archaeological team must be protected by powerful trainers. That's why we don't know what crisis we will encounter. Zhang Xingyun said lightly. Every large archaeological team will always be protected by several powerful trainers. After sitting for a while, someone came to the outside of the room and called him, saying that Lingfeng called him. 10 minutes later, Zhang Xingyun came to Lingfeng. Lingfeng has a temporary residence and office here. At this time, the two were sitting in the office talking. This incident happened suddenly. I'm sorry. Lingfeng apologized. He also witnessed Zhang Xingyun's situation this time. At that time, he was also in trouble. I'm safe and sound. Zhang Xingyun chuckled and said. Today's situation is that you led Zheng Jiyue away. You have made great contributions. I will also report the truth. There will be a reward for you soon. Hearing this, Zhang Xingyun nodded and said nothing. This time it was also very dangerous. If it weren't for Zygarde's help, his situation would be very dangerous. After chatting in the office for a while, Zhang Xingyun said goodbye and left. The matter of the mausoleum this time has come to an end. He will not participate in the remaining research matters. Returning to the temporary house, he called Lan Yuchen and others, and while it was still early, they rode the elves and flew to Changning. In the evening, several people arrived in Changning, and after finishing dinner outside, they returned to the villa. It's more fun to explore on your own. It's too fucking tiring to go with the archaeological team. After returning, Lan Yuchen lay directly on the soft sofa and said in a muffled voice, no, it's not bad to go with them. They are also professionals. If we hadn't met Sister Liang today, we wouldn't even be able to understand the text. Zimeng objected. She thought it was interesting to go with the archaeologists. They were more professional and knew more about this kind of thing. You can also learn something by communicating with them. That's what you think. I just think it's troublesome. Zhang Xingyun smiled as he watched the two talking, got up and walked outside to the training ground. At this time, the injuries suffered by Nidoking and other Pokémon during the day had also recovered, and they were exchanging combat experiences on the training ground. Today's huge Jenga also left a deep impression on them. Hiss on the field. Jenga was breathing in the air vigorously, and his silver-white body was bulging. Zhang, what are you doing? Zhang Xingyun walked over and saw Jenga fiddling with it and asked with a smile. His Jenga gestured with both hands and explained. Hey, you have a good idea, but you can't become huge. It's useless. It's so huge because it was affected by the power of the ancient times, not air. After listening to Jenga's explanation, Zhang Xingyun didn't know whether to laugh or cry. It turned out that Jenga had an idea in his mind after seeing the huge Jenga during the day. That is, he wanted to become as huge as that huge Jenga. Now what he is doing is to become huge. His Jenga smiled embarrassedly and stopped breathing. Take your time. You won't be weaker than it in the future. You must have confidence. Zhang Xingyun continued. After speaking, Zhang Xingyun came to Nidoking and chatted with them. He also took out 3 gem level energy cubes from the space and handed them to the 3 of them. In the current team, Crystal Steelix can burst out the combat power of the early champion, and Nidoking and Giant Claw Mantis burst out with the strength of the peak of the late king. The 3 of them are the first echelon in the team. There are not many gem level energy cubes on hand, so they can only give priority to Nidoking. Charizard and Pidgeot also expressed understanding. He also expressed his blessing to the 3 who were given priority. The elves have always regarded each other as family members, and there have been no disputes or conflicts for so long. Nidoking and his elves are very caring for Jenga, Metagross, and the latter also respect Nidoking. Zhang Xingyun felt relieved. Late at night, in Zhang Xingyun's room, a light flashed by, and Zygarde came out of the elves. The battle with the giant Jenga during the day consumed a lot of its strength. At this time, Zygarde looked a little weak, and the green light on his body dimmed a little. Thank you for your help, Zygarde. These 2 energy cubes should be of some help to you. Zhang Xingyun thanked him again, and took out 2 gem level energy from the space, and delivered it to it. Okay. Zygarde did not refuse, and accepted the energy cube delivered by Zhang Xingyun. Can you tell me what you encountered before that made you so weak at the time? Zhang Xingyun asked casually. During this period of time, Zygarde occasionally woke up, and there was a lot of communication between the man and the elf. During this period of time, perhaps due to the energy he input into it, Zhang Xingyun found that Zygarde was not as aloof as he imagined. He had a very high level of divine beast, and would not boss him around or be arrogant. On the contrary, he helped him several times. The relationship between the 2 was not as unfamiliar as before, and they got along like friends. That's a scary man. I entered the half-body state, but I still couldn't defeat him. Zygarde's words were filled with fear, and he was very afraid of the him in his words. Chapter 785 Speculation and Reconstruction. Man? Him? Zhang Xingyun asked in confusion, somewhat puzzled by the person he was talking about. Well, he's terrible, Zygarde said solemnly, and was very wary of the man who stole his power. It was the most terrible human it had encountered when it had just awakened in this new world. It's still very weak now, so it's not very useful to talk about it, Zygarde said again. Okay. Seeing this, Zhang Xingyun stopped talking. I hope you can reach a certain level in the future and help me. It will be good for you, me, and even the world. Do you understand? No problem. As long as I can help, I will, Zhang Xingyun said seriously. Well, then, Zygarde returned to the Pokeball and continued to sleep. Isn't he even in the half-body realm? How strong is he then? Thinking of this, Zhang Xingyun pinched his eyebrows. He saw with his own eyes how strong Zygarde is now during the day. The huge Jenga with super ancient power had almost no power to fight back in his hands. But now I heard him say it himself, that my half-body realm was actually no match for him. Zhang Xingyun guessed that, if it was calculated according to its current state, it was now at the peak of the late champion stage. So wouldn't the half-body realm be stronger? At least it would be at the legendary realm. In addition, it was a legendary order beast. Even if it was half-body legendary realm, it was still no match for the one it mentioned. In this case, how much more power did that person have? A half-body zygote who could defeat a super beast? It was hard to imagine. Think too much. Now is not the time to think about this. Zhang Xingyun slapped his face and stopped imagining. Even if he thought about that step, it would be useless, and now was not the time. Zhang Xingyun sat cross-legged on the bed and began to practice. The spiritual light around his body was shining, and the energy between heaven and earth gathered towards him, sank into his body, and strengthened his strength. Time passed quickly, and soon the sky was pale. Zhang Xingyun opened his eyes and stopped practicing. He got up and moved his body, then walked out. After washing up in the washroom, Zhang Xingyun started his usual exercise. Nidoking and the others were also moving around. After breakfast, Zhang Xingyun and Nangang Yeo rode on the elves and came to the location of the turtles. This is it, Pidgeot, let's go down. Pidgeot flew down and stopped at a high ground. Standing here, looking out, the mountains and rivers are beautiful, and the grass is green. This is it. When the new city is built, I'm thinking of moving the company here. With the turtles looking after it, safety is a concern. Of course, if there are still problems in this situation, then this is not a small problem, and it's not just my business. Zhang Xingyun looked at the scenery in front of him, and said with a smile, "It's pretty good, it's a good place." Nangang Yeo nodded. "Go back and find someone from the engineering team to come here to do some renovations. It will be better." Yeah. Zhang Xingyun and Nangang Yeo walked around in this area, and many elves they met came over very friendly and greeted them. After walking around, she also got to know the elves here. After that, Zhang Xingyun came to the construction site of Xinchi to help. In Ling Feng's office, Zhang Xingyun and Ling Feng were sitting in his office, talking about something. "The rewards are down. I heard that there is a batch of gem level energy cubes in this reward," Ling Feng said slowly, facing the fragrant tea. "Gem level energy cubes." Hearing that there are gem level energy cubes, Zhang Xingyun also became excited. The gem level energy cubes in his hand have been almost used up. Well, that batch of energy cubes is also rewarded to the four of us. The four people in the words are him, Zhang Xingyun, Yan Wengxuan and Pei Yangxing. Nangang Yeo and the others also have rewards. It's Sun Yangcheng. If you have time, go and get it yourself. Ling Feng said again. Okay. Zhang Xingyun smiled and responded, thinking about finding a time to go to Yangcheng and get his reward. Afterwards, Zhang Xingyun received a task and came to guard the line from Daewon to Xinchi. His mission is to ensure the safety of the engineers on this front line and prevent powerful Pokémon or criminals from attacking. However, this place has been driven away once, and there are many investigators guarding here, so nothing will happen under normal circumstances. There are some Pokémon attacks, but he doesn't need to take action, and other trainers under him can solve it. Zhang Xingyun is training Lizard King, and the other two in the temporary command camp. There is a communicator next to him, and he will rush over if there is any situation. After stopping the training, Zhang Xingyun saw a familiar person. It was the middle-aged man wearing a white safety helmet who had performed the mission underground with him before. "Is there anything wrong with you, King?" Seeing Zhang Xingyun coming to him again, Wang Yan said respectfully. "It's like this. There is an area in front of my manor, which needs to be repaired. I'm here to discuss it with Manager Wang. Is it this matter?" "No problem. Leave it to me, King. Don't worry. We have the most professional designers and the most professional construction team here, and we will definitely satisfy you." Wang Yan heard it, and immediately patted his chest and said, "Well, I will also delay you. Let a few teams of brothers who are resting help. I will also give them a certain amount of compensation. These engineers work in shifts. There are 3 shifts in total, working day and night. Under normal circumstances, many people are resting. Okay, then may I ask if you have any planning requirements for that place? Do you need our designers to plan and design for you?" Wang Yan said respectfully. "No need, just follow my plan." Zhang Xingyun took out a planning drawing he had made and handed it to him. "Just follow the above, and it is mainly voluntary, and I will also give compensation. Don't force it or anything like that," Zhang Xingyun emphasized. No problem, I will take care of this matter, you can rest assured. This is to help a king. Wang Yan naturally took it to heart and promised again and again. Well, then trouble you. No problem, it's a small matter. Then, Wang Yan went to work, and soon a team of engineers started to move, came to the area designated by Zhang Xingyun, and started to work. As for the elves in the area, I had heard Zhang Xingyun talk about it before, and knew that it was arranged by him, and no accidents happened. The manor belonging to him began to be transformed. Chapter 786 Lan Yujin and others left. The roar of the machine sounded in the champion town, and several teams of engineers who were resting came to help with the construction. A group of elves squatted nearby, curiously watching the people who were working on the construction. Some of the brave ones even came over to help. The planning map that Zhang Xingyun got out also had to add some requirements of the elves. What was to be built was a manor that would not affect and was better than before. In the high position in the distance, Zhang Xingyun and Nangang Yao were watching. The construction was proceeding as usual, and no other accidents occurred. Am I abusing my power for personal gain? Looking at the manor under construction, Zhang Xingyun said with a smile. Not really, this is a fair trade, and we will pay. Nangang Yao beside him replied. Some money is nothing, it's not easy. Most of these engineers are not trainers. The elves issued by the team are not strong. They are mainly involved in construction, so their combat effectiveness is naturally not very high. Zhang Xingyun looked around for a few times, and the communicator next to him did not ring, indicating that no powerful elves were attacking, and there was nothing to do for the time being, so he watched his manor being built here. Now, it has no mission, and if there is something, it is a big thing. He is not needed for small things. 4 days passed, and buildings were built one after another on the ground of Champion Town. They were all built according to Zhang Xingyun's plan. His road construction was almost completed, with a total of 3 avenues connecting the two cities of Daewon and Xinshi. The props in other directions were also built in a similar time, and the construction of Xinshi has begun to take shape. This is also due to the emergence of elves and advanced technology, which has led to such a fast construction speed. I'll trouble you these days, Zhang Xingyun said to Wang Yan. Haha, no trouble, no trouble. Thanks to your protection these days, we can work safely. Wang Yan laughed, and was very humble. Have all the rewards been paid out? Zhang Xingyun asked casually. All have been paid out, you can rest assured, King. If you don't believe it, you can ask someone by the way. That's not necessary, just pay it out. Zhang Xingyun nodded with satisfaction. If you need to build something in the future, please consider our company. We will definitely satisfy you. Okay, if you need it, I will consider it. Okay. After their own manor was built, Zhang Xingyun and Nangang Yao came to the newly built villa. The style of this villa is a bit like the residence of Professor Oak in the anime. It has been modified a little, with less scientific research and more life. Hey, when we get old, it's not bad to come here for retirement. The two came to a meadow and walked, and Zhang Xingyun said, you are only a few years old now, why do you think of retirement? Nangang Yao smiled and said, make plans early. Zhang Xingyun replied and walked around. The elves here were laughing and playing on the grass, still as carefree as before. In the distance, the earth platform turtle was lazily basking in the sun, and there were many elves on its huge body, resting together. The warm sun was shining, reflecting such a harmonious scene. The breeze blew slowly, bringing a burst of flower and grass fragrance. There was a noise in the distance, and several figures were flying towards here. Looking closely, they were Lan Yujin and his group. The 3 of them had also accepted many tasks to build the new city in the past few days. According to what Lan Yujin said, they came to do winter vacation jobs. They also received a lot of rewards. Hey, this place is nice, with shady flowers and plants, mountains, and water. Lan Yujin jumped off the back of the elf, looked at the surrounding scenery, and continued, it's a pity that there are many restrictions such as household registration, otherwise I would also like to do it. Is this the earth turtle you mentioned? This size is rare. Zimeng looked at the dominant earth turtle in the distance. With the giant Zhengji they had encountered before, the 3 of them would not be so surprised. How is it? Is the winter vacation job okay? Zhang Xingyun asked with a smile, looking at the three people. Fortunately, I have saved a lot of merit points to exchange for a lot of good things. Lan Yuchen replied. The group came to a pavilion and sat in the pavilion to chat. Yao Xingyun, I came here to say goodbye to you too. Meng said softly, picking up the snacks on the table and eating them. Say goodbye? Are you guys going home? Zhang Xingyun said after hearing this. Hey, I knew you were forgetful. We have to go back to school, and we still have a lot of classes to take. We are not on the school team, and we don't have any outstanding results. Lan Yuchen beside him smiled and explained the reason. Oh, I neglected it. Zhang Xingyun laughed awkwardly. He hadn't checked the group much in the past few days, and he was a little busy, so he forgot that they were still students. You are now better than most teachers in the school. I guess the counselor won't look for you. Plus, you have a lot of things to do, so it's normal that you didn't check the information. Which day are you leaving? Zhang Xingyun asked again. We will leave tomorrow. We won't take a plane this time. We will ride the elves to the magic city. School will start the day after tomorrow, so we should be able to catch up. Qian Xiaoming beside him answered. Okay, be careful on the road, safety first. Okay, I was thinking that everyone would stay here for a few days, but it seems that it has not happened. If you have time next time, you can come. Maybe it will be different next time. Nangang Yao chuckled. Yao, I find that you are becoming more and more like a housekeeper. Meng chuckled. No way. Yes, but you just haven't noticed it. It's a pity that Zirao didn't say it. The last time we talked, she said that she was studying hard and has not been contacted for a while. Really? Then you can work hard and break through the King of Heaven as soon as possible. Don't always want to be lazy. You are just too lazy. No way please. There are differences between people. Okay, I have tried my best, but that's it. If I can break through the King of Heaven before I graduate, I will be so happy. Meng spread her hands directly. We're leaving tomorrow, so let's have a picnic here tonight. We don't have to catch a plane anyway, and you're going there on elves. So I brought a few mutton sheep and a lot of food. Lan Yuchen smiled and took out a bunch of food and brand new picnic equipment from the space. That's perfect, haha. It was getting late, and the few of them found a suitable place in the manor and started to get busy. They ate and chatted. Chapter 787 Receiving Rewards and Emergencies. Goodbye, both of you. The next day, Lan Yuchen rode on the flying elf and said goodbye to Zhang Xingyun and the others. Goodbye, we will go back to school in a while. Zhang Xingyun waved his hand. At the end of March, they still have to go to the Water City Secret Realm, so they still have to go back to school. Okay, then we are leaving. Okay, be safe. Okay. The flying elf carrying the three people flew into the sky and flew towards the direction of the magic city. Unconsciously, this winter vacation is over and the new semester has arrived. They all go to school. Nangang Yao looked at the three people walking away and said with some emotion. People have separations and reunions, and the moon waxes and wanes. It's normal. I won't help today. I plan to go to Yangcheng later to collect the previous rewards. Let's go together. Okay, it happens that my brother is also in Yangcheng, so it's a good time to go over and take a look. That's a coincidence. Zhang Xingyun smiled lightly. Roar a mighty and domineering dragon flew up into the sky with them, flying towards Yangcheng. The elves along the way avoided the dragon after feeling its might, and no accidents happened. The journey was very smooth. Soon, they arrived at the outskirts of Yangcheng, stopped at an open space, and drove into Yangcheng. Yangcheng was still as prosperous as ever, with a constant stream of people and traffic on the streets. At about 10 o'clock in the morning, the two arrived at the elf center in Yangcheng. They came to the logistics department, where the supplies were placed, found the person in charge of the supplies, presented evidence, etc., and after completing the process, a middle-aged man with a square face took out a special suitcase and placed it in front of him. Zhang Wanjun, count it and make sure it's correct. Okay. Zhang Xingyun opened it and counted it. There were a total of about 70 pieces in it, which corresponded to the information he got. After signing, he confirmed and received these gem level energy cubes. The arrival of this batch of energy cubes can be used for a while. After receiving the energy cubes, the two walked into the elevator arm in arm. Nangang Yeo skillfully clicked a floor and led him to an office. Dang dang dang, come in. Nangang Yan's magnetic voice came from inside. The door was opened and the two walked in. Hi, brother. Nangang Yeo said with a smile. It turned out to be Jaoa and Xingyun. Why didn't you tell me? Seeing that it was two people, Nangang Yan's face was full of smiles. He put down the documents in his hand, stood up and greeted the two. What's the matter with coming to Yangcheng? After sitting down, Nangang Yan asked and looked at him. I said I came to see you specifically, brother. Do you believe it? Nangang Yeo smiled slyly beside him and said, haha, I believe it. I'm here to collect a reward today. I came here because of the giant Zhang Xingyun a few times ago. I see. When he said this, Nangang Yan also knew it and then remembered what he had learned. I was just about to say this. What happened to you two? That day was not optimistic. Why did you two take such a risk? Nangang Yan blamed. Brother, actually this matter is very complicated to talk about. The scene was chaotic at that time and there was no time to think about it. Nangang Yeo responded quickly. What do you mean by no time to think about it? Remember that safety comes first. Okay, brother, Xingyun and I are not here to nag you. Seeing him like this, Nangang Yeo immediately interrupted. Nangang Yan could only smile helplessly. Brother, don't worry, I will be careful in the future. Zhang Xingyun said seriously. Yeah. Nangang Yan nodded and then talked about other things. Dang while talking, there was a knock on the door outside. After getting Nangang Yan's consent, a woman with many documents walked in. Just put it there, I will deal with it later. Nangang Yan said loudly. Okay. The person responded, put down the documents, and walked out. So many documents, you've been busy, brother. Nangang Yeo said to him with a smile when she saw the documents. Fortunately, these documents should be things that need to be approved, and they will be processed soon. You and Xingyun will sit down first. Nangang Yan walked to his original position and started to process the documents. Buzz not long after he started to watch, the communicator next to him rang. After answering the call and saying a few words, he hung up and turned around to dial another number and started talking. Are we here at the wrong time? Brother looks so busy. Nangang Yeo said softly to Zhang Xingyun. Brother, his position is not small, so it's normal to be busy. People with low positions are leisurely all day long. The two whispered. Soon it was noon, and the three of them came to a high-end restaurant in Yangcheng and had a hearty lunch. After finishing the meal, Nangang Yan's face became solemn. After receiving a call, Zhang Xingyun and the others saw this and knew that something had happened. Jaoa and Xingyun, you two should stay at home for a few days. Unfortunately, I have to go to Xianmen to deal with some things. Nangang Yan said apologetically. It's okay, brother. Be careful on the road. Well, stay a few more days. Tell the housekeeper what you want to eat. Okay. Nangang Yan exhaled, released the Dragonite and rode it, flying away, and soon disappeared into the sky. Hey, brother is always so busy. Looking at the direction where Nangang Yan was going, Nangang Yeo said helplessly. The greater the ability, the greater the responsibility. Zhang Xingyun said and held her little hand. Well, then let's go shopping in Yangcheng. I'm always busy these days. Okay. Zhang Xingyun said gently, and the two of them walked hand in hand on the bustling streets. After walking for a while, the mobile phone in Zhang Xingyun's pocket also rang. It's Chengzu calling. It shouldn't be anything. Zhang Xingyun murmured and answered the call. Hello, Xingyun. Today a group of unidentified people approached the company employees, and two of them were killed at home, suspected to have been attacked and killed. Huh? What do you mean? Company employees were attacked and killed at home? What's the situation? Zhang Xingyun said in disbelief. Wasn't the organization called Wild Wolf wiped out by himself? How could this happen? Is there someone behind this deliberately targeting him? The situation is not very clear now. Lin Sucher is handling it. I will inform you when there is a result. Okay, I'll go there now. Zhang Xingyun said to the phone. What's wrong? Someone is targeting our company? Nangang Yeo also heard the call just now. At this time, she immediately thought in her mind, who is targeting them? Who is the organization behind it? What is the purpose? Let's go back to Changning quickly and solve the problem. Okay. Chapter 788 Another Turbulence. Zhang Xingyun and Nangang Yeo rode on the elves and rushed to Changning City quickly. At about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the two arrived in Changning and went straight to the elf center. When they arrived, Lin Jianzhang happened to be in the office. How is the situation of Captain Lin? Zhang Xingyun said directly after entering the office. Sit down first, I will tell you slowly. Lin Jianzhang said, and after the two sat down, he talked about the ins and outs of the matter. Originally, this matter was not his responsibility, but the people from the Public Security Bureau were responsible. After the security guards went to investigate and found that it was the work of the elves, they reported it. Lin Jianzhang happened to know about it and started to deal with the matter. These two photos were taken by surveillance cameras. They killed two people in your company at almost the same time. Lin Jianzhang took out two photos, put them on the table, and handed them to Zhang Xingyun. The two people in the picture were wearing masks, and their hair was fluffy and thin, covering most of their faces, and their facial features could not be seen clearly. Has that person been caught? Zhang Xingyun said immediately, after looking at the pictures. Not yet, they are wanted. Lin Jianzhang shook his head. Yeah. Zhang Xingyun responded, quietly looking at the two pictures in his hand, thinking, this is the information of the deceased. After we learned about it, they didn't have any grudges with other people, nor were they engaged in the trainer industry. The probability of conflicts is very low, so I think this may be against you. Lin Jianzhang analyzed. Targeted at me? I also have this guess, and I'm also wondering who it is. According to this speculation, at most I will close the company, and to be honest, it will not have any impact on me. Zhang Xingyun also analyzed calmly. The fact is, as he said, at most the company will close, but the company is gone, and it will not have much impact on it. Losing Uniao Group will not be a big deal for him. His main business is still in the trainer industry. As long as undertaking and others are there, his status and wealth will not be affected. Who is targeting me? What is there about me that is worth them targeting? After walking out of the Pokémon Center, Zhang Xingyun said puzzledly. Could it be Team Rocket? After all, most of our equipment came from them. Nangang Yeo, who was standing next to him, spoke out a guess. Yes, there is this possibility. Zhang Xingyun nodded. This is very likely. It could also be a peer. Our company has great potential and will have great development in the future. It will squeeze them and divide their cake, so this is to suppress it in advance. Nangang Yeo continued to guess. This possibility cannot be ruled out. It seems that opening a company to make some money has many tricks. There are so many troubles. It's like this. When people are famous, they are prone to gossip, and companies are no exception. Then, the two came to the company and met Chengzu. Chengzu sat in a chair, his face a little depressed. Xingyun, you two are here. Seeing the two people come in, Chengzu also cheered up and greeted them. Yes, I just went to Captain Lin to understand the situation. Zhang Xingyun replied, and found a chair to sit down. The funeral of these two employees must be handled properly. Perhaps they were affected by our company. Okay, I'll do it myself. Chengzu nodded in reply. By the way, you and Brother Ji should be careful when you go out. Maybe they will deal with you too. Zhang Xingyun warned. If they came to target him and his company, then Chengzu and Lin Ji would also be on their list. We have to hold a meeting to appease the mood of other employees. I suggest that we can increase the salary appropriately to attract employees. Zhang Xingyun continued. Okay. The two discussed for a while, and Zhang Xingyun's cell phone rang. It was Lin Jianzhang who called. One of the perpetrators was caught and is now in prison. Afterwards, Zhang Xingyun and the other went to the prison and met Lin Jianzhang. One of them escaped, so we caught this one. Lin Jianzhang pointed to a yellow-haired young man and said, at this time, the yellow-haired young man still had several wounds on his body and was bleeding, and his expression was very terrified. We also got some information. His name is Wang Hong, from Biguan City. His family was attacked by a mysterious land a few years ago, and he was the only one left. He has been wandering in the wild for many years. He is addicted to gambling and has committed murder and robbery with others many times. He is an elite trainer and has trained 2 elite level Pokémon and 3 ordinary level 1 Pokémon. Lin Jianzhang slowly said the information of the yellow-haired young man. Has he not joined the organization? No, I have asked him several times and he didn't say anything. He doesn't look like he is lying. Liu Yan continued to interrogate him. According to him, he met a friend of his in a gathering place in the wild this time. That is, another person this time, Chen Qi. He took the job after getting the information of that person with a salary of 10 million to assassinate an ordinary person. Chen Qi. Who is this person? Hearing this, Zhang Xingyun asked. This Chen Qi is his friend and fellow villager. They have similar interests and are both addicted to gambling. He has several criminal records and is the person who issued the task this time. He promised him 10 million. According to him, this Chen Qi has many ways to get many tasks to do. He is often taken care of by Chen Qi. If Chen Qi is caught, he may know something. Lin Jianzhang said slowly. This matter involves human life and him. He has to do his best to handle this matter for both public and private reasons. At this time, his phone rang. It was a message. Lin Jianzhang smiled and showed joy on his face. There is news about Chen Qi in Xingyun. Zhao Huang, who is following him, has already known his location. However, the location is in the wild, and there are many wild trainers wandering there. It should be a gathering place. Zhao Huang can't take it down alone, and he didn't alert the enemy. He just waited there and waited for help. Okay, it's good that you have found the location. I will go there and meet him. Okay. Seeing that he was going to do it himself, Lin Jianzhang had no objection. A dense forest between Changning City and Biguan City. Zhang Xingyun and Nangang Yao came here first and met the tracker Zhao Huang. It's in front of Zhangguanjin. It seems to be a gathering place in the wild. I saw many people walked into the cave. Okay, thank you for your hard work. It's my duty. After hearing the news, Zhang Xingyun and the others took action. After decorating themselves, they came to the entrance of the cave. Just as they were about to go in, 2 big men appeared, with 2 ordinary late-stage giants beside them. Proof. One of the big men said in a deep voice. Here. Zhang Xingyun looked at the 2 elves and a glimmer in his eyes. The 2 elves looked dazed. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 789, Black Market Hunt. Zhang Xingyun used a trick to pass the 2 people and walked into the cave. Huh. Strange. Why do I feel weird? Did Anand find anything? After 10 seconds, one of the big men asked in confusion, and the Anand beside him shook his head. That's strange. You've played with women too much. Your body is weak. Another person heard it and said immediately. Get lost. I can't be weak even if you die, but I just have a strange feeling, but I can't explain it. Is this still weak? I heard that weakness is this feeling. Get lost. Zhang Xingyun and Nangang Yao walked in the underground passage. The passage was decorated, and not as narrow and damp as other underground passages. It was more like a passage. They were also checked on the way. Zhang Xingyun used the same method to get through, and came to a spacious space. This place is more like an underground trading place, and there are many people coming and going. Zhang Xingyun released his mental power and carefully detected the surroundings. He found that the strongest elf here was only the first level of Quasi-King, and this place was divided into several areas. There were stalls doing business, and there were gambling houses. The people here were mixed, and they all came here for different needs. This should be the black market. Some things that can't be bought outside, or prohibited things and industries, can appear here, but from this point of view, the scale of this black market is not large. Nangang Yao said to him through telepathy. Zhang Xingyun nodded slightly. He also knew this kind of place. The high-level resources on the market are controlled by the government, and there are restrictions on the buyers. Some people, with their own channels, can get them here for a second sale and make huge profits. The same kind of thing. The price here is also more expensive than on the market. His mental power swept through one person after another. With his late stage supernatural power level, the people who were swept didn't notice it, and the same was true for several elves hiding in the dark. Zhang Xingyun took a step, past one person after another, and passed through multiple areas. Soon he found Chen Qi's figure in a place. Zhang Xingyun had his information on hand, including his appearance and body size. At this time, Chen Qi was at a place selling alcohol. He picked up the wine glass on the table and took a few sips. With these 50 million, I can live a carefree life for a long time. As for the city, I can't go back. I'll drink and enjoy myself today. Chen Qi smiled and drank another glass of wine, feeling happy. A few days ago, a mysterious man suddenly found him and gave him a task. Just kill 2 ordinary people and you will get a reward of 50 million. Judging from his performance, if he completes it beautifully this time, there may be cooperation next time. After learning about it, Chen Qi found that this was feasible. The consequence was that he would be wanted and could not enter the city in the future, but he didn't care about this. Anyway, he had a criminal record and could not do anything big in the city, and he still owed a lot of debts. With these 50 million, he could live a carefree life for a long time. He would talk about it later. At worst, he would find an opportunity, and it would be very good to join the Rockets. To be on the safe side, he also found Wang Hong and carried out this mission. It was naturally easy in the middle. He just killed an ordinary person. Before he was discovered, he had already run away. As he expected, he successfully ran out and now came here to drink delicious wine happily. Zhang Xingyun came directly behind it. Who? Sensing someone behind him, Chen Qi turned his head and saw a fist. Bang, then his whole body flew up and smashed to the side, knocking over many wine tables. Not good. Chen Qi's eyes widened and a huge sense of crisis came over his heart. The next second, he was horrified to find that he couldn't move and couldn't control his body. The whole body was controlled by a force and went towards the person who attacked him just now. Chen Qi struggled, but it was useless. At this time, the 3 Pokeballs on his belt opened, and several Pokémon ran out of the Pokeballs. The strongest ones were an elite late stage Arbok and an elite mid stage Windball. The others were ordinary level 1 Pokémon. Several elves appeared on the scene and ran towards Zhang Xingyun. The next second, they found that they could not move. A series of blow light missiles attacked, and then a dazzling blow light burst out. Bang bang bang, several elves fell to the ground in an instant, without a sound. This Chen Qi looked at this scene in disbelief. His elves were killed in one move. This movement instantly caused a commotion. When they saw Zhang Xingyun's move, they knew that this was a big deal. The comer was not kind, and was very powerful. They all ran back, and the scene instantly became a mess. Zhang Xingyun ignored him, and brought him to him, his eyes shining. This was also a use of his supernatural power. Did you go to Changning with Wang Hong? Yes. Chen Qi answered his question with a dull face. How did you accept this mission? Who is the other party? Zhang Xingyun asked again. I met him in the Nanayan black market. The other party is very mysterious. I don't know who the other party is. Chen Qi said word by word. Zhang Xingyun asked a few more questions, and Chen Qi answered them truthfully. It seems that the other party is very careful. Zhang Xingyun said, after asking the question. It was a mess outside, and there were a few sounds of fighting. It should be that Lin Jian's Hong and his men came and encountered these people running out. When Zhang Xingyun carried Chen Qi to the ground, he saw Lin Jian's Hong. How is it? Have you found out anything? Lin Jian's Hong walked over and asked. No, this Chen Qi also met a mysterious person in a black market called Nanayan and received this task. The real mastermind is still unknown. Zhang Xingyun shook his head and said. Do you need me to examine it again? That's fine. Zhang Xingyun did not refuse and handed Chen Qi to him for interrogation. The result after the interrogation was the same as the interrogation just now. Who is the black market in Nanayan? Zhang Xingyun murmured, and from Chen Qi's mouth, he also learned the location of the black market in Nanayan. but he only knew the location of this black market, and the person behind the scenes was still not found. The clue from Chenki was also broken. Captain Lin, can you find out the origin of this card? See if there are any clues. After thinking for a while, Zhang Xingyun took out a card that Chenki got from the mysterious man. You can try, but the other party is so cautious that he won't leave clues so easily. Well, let's try it. Lin Jianzhang handed the card to a technician, who checked it for a while, but couldn't find anything. Chapter 790 Yi Crossing's suggestions. Afterwards, no other clues were found from other items on Chenki's body. After a lot of work, only one Nanayan black market was found, and all other clues were lost. I thought it would be smooth to open a company, but I didn't expect to encounter such things twice not long after it was established. Logically speaking, it shouldn't be like this. With his status and potential, people with a little bit of brains know that it's best not to offend him. Besides, I have always been humble to others and never bullied others. Could it be someone from Team Rocket? Zhang Xingyun couldn't help but think of Team Rocket. Perhaps only they would be like this, not to mention that there is Qiu Long in Team Rocket who hates him to the core, so this is still very likely. If they are traveling together, there is also a certain possibility. Leaving the next matter to Lin Jianzhang and others to deal with, Zhang Xingyun and the other person rode the elves to Changning. The establishment of a company will not be smooth sailing. If you want to become bigger and stronger, you will inevitably attract these troubles, big or small. Nangang Yeo said slowly on the back of the violent flying dragon. Well, I know this too. Zhang Xingyun nodded in reply. As they talked, they soon returned to Changning and came to the company. Zhang Xingyun immediately held a meeting and told the story of Chenki and the other two being arrested. After appeasing everyone, he once again increased their salaries. However, some employees resigned, and Zhang Xingyun did not make it difficult for them. He gave them enough compensation. I'll have to trouble you, Brother Zhu, with the next thing. Some businesses with low technical content can also be outsourced to other companies. After the meeting, several people came to the office, and Zhang Xingyun said to Cheng Zhu, okay, I'll arrange it. Here are 6 boxes of high-level energy cubes. You two can each take 3 boxes. You can be promoted to Quasi-Kings as soon as possible. If you have any training problems, you can also come to ask me. I don't know if they will focus on you next time. Then, Zhang Xingyun took out another energy cube and gave it to Cheng Zhu and Lin Ji. The two hesitated for a few times and took it. After discussing for a while and confirming the matter, Zhang Xingyun and Nangang Yeo returned to the villa. Not long after returning home, Yi Crossing and Fang Hongjian came to visit. I heard that your company is in trouble. Yi Crossing said lightly in the living room of the villa. Well, I ran into some trouble. Someone is dealing with me behind the scenes. Zhang Xingyun nodded and admitted. TSK, who is so stubborn that he dares to deal with you? Don't you know who you are? Yi Crossing smiled. Anyone who knows Zhang Xingyun knows that he is the champion of this year's national competition and has unlimited potential. Anyone with a little insight knows that he should not be offended. I don't know. If I knew, I wouldn't be polite to him. Zhang Xingyun said coldly. He was not afraid of the other party's actions, but he was disgusted. Several people chatted and talked about the Nanayan black market. In fact, this black market is also managed secretly by someone. Yi Crossing smiled and said in a rather mysterious tone. Managed secretly? Yes, managed secretly. Think about it. Where do the goods in this black market come from? And the profits in this black market are not small, which makes many families quite tempted. Like the Nanayan black market you mentioned, it can be so big, and there are people behind it. If you go directly to them, you may get something. Yi Crossing said slowly, and then broke the news. Like this Nanayan black market, as far as I know, it was created by the family in Shenzhen and several trainers behind it. They are quite courageous. The people above are also turning a blind eye to this, as long as you don't make too much trouble. After all, the benefits are too great, and there are some issues of resource allocation, which can't be cut off in one fell swoop. After all, where there is demand, there is a market. Even if you get rid of this one, there will be another one. Like weeds, you can't get rid of them all. Yi Crossing waved his hand and smiled awkwardly. He knew a lot about these. For someone like you, you can go directly to their door and ask them to assist you, or strictly prohibit them from issuing tasks against you there. As for whether they listen or not, it's up to you. Isn't your crystal steelix the strength of a champion? Show it there. It seems that the Luo family in Shenzhen is behind them, and the Luo family only had a champion level trainer last year. I think they dare not refuse. At most, they will do one match. Who asked them to have tasks against you in their black market? After listening to Yi Crossing's words, Zhang Xingyun was also thinking about the feasibility. My family has encountered the same problem as yours before, and that's how it was. We warned several black markets in succession, and after a few rounds of beatings, there were fewer problems. You can do the same, and those who live in the wild will also be taken into consideration. Yi Crossing said in succession, talking about his own past affairs, and asked him to refer to them. You don't have to be polite to them, you have to be ruthless. If they don't agree, just do it, and see if they agree or not. Yi Crossing's face showed a ruthless look. He is not the high school student he used to be. Since he went to college, he has gradually been exposed to these things, preparing to take over the family business in the future. You can't tell, Yi Crossing, you have changed a lot. Seeing him like this, Zhang Xingyun said with a smile. There's no way. If you are not ruthless, your position will not be stable. After all, this is how society is. It's not like in school, where we talk about civilization and harmony. If we follow the old way, we won't know how we died. Yi Crossing also laughed and shook his head. By the way, I'll send you the information of several black markets around. Okay. Then Zhang Xingyun received the message from Yi Crossing. Many big companies do this. The most important thing is that they have the strength. If I hadn't heard that your crystal steelix has the strength of a champion, I wouldn't dare to suggest this. The few people continued to chat. In the evening, Yi Crossing and the others stayed in the villa and had dinner together. They sat for a long time before saying goodbye and leaving. No wonder there are no powerful trainers in charge. Companies engaged in the Pokémon industry can't grow big. After Yi Crossing and the others left, Zhang Xingyun and she came to the training ground and looked at the Pokémon's training on the training ground. On the field, Lizard King and Jenga were training under the guidance of several seniors. It's all like this. Nangang Yeo answered from the side. Hey, Nidoking's momentum, is it going to break through? Nangang Yeo pointed to Nidoking on one side of the training ground and felt the fluctuating breath on it and was surprised. At this time, Nidoking was on the side and the energy fluctuations on his body were rising step by step and the pressure he exuded became more and more intense. That's a coincidence. Zhang Xingyun said with a smile. If Nidoking breaks through again, he will be at the peak of the late stage of the king. Chapter 791 Nidoking Breakthrough. During this period of accumulation, the resources provided by Zhang Xingyun are all top-notch. Nidoking's qualifications are not low, and his strength is also slowly increasing. It is normal for him to have a breakthrough trend now. Zhang Xingyun teleported to Nidoking and took out 2 gem-level energy blocks and some auxiliary treasures from the space to help him break through. Nido after a while, a wave of energy stronger than before emanated from Nidoking. Nidoking broke through naturally, from the late stage of the Heaven Leaking to the peak of the late stage of the Heaven Leaking. Nidoking moved his body. It has also reached this step and caught up with the crystal steelix in the team. Hey boo Hass and hiss the electric shock monsters and other elves on the side surrounded it and congratulated it. Congratulations, Nidoking has also reached the peak of the late stage of the Heaven Leaking and is one step closer to the champion level. Nangang Yeo on the side congratulated Zhang Xingyun. Ha ha ha. Zhang Xingyun laughed. His original elf Nidoking had also reached this point and he was very happy. Nidoking, let's show it. Let me see your strength after the breakthrough. After being happy for a while, Zhang Xingyun showed it to Nidoking. After some operations, the bonded Nidoking stood on the field, exuding a terrifying aura, even stronger than the crystal steelix that reached the champion level. Nido after Zhang Xingyun stimulated Nidoking's bonded state, he successfully entered the champion level. After being amplified by Zhang Xingyun's spirit attachment technique, his strength was further improved, surpassing crystal steelix. It seems that the power of my bond with Nidoking is greater than the power of my bond with Crystal Steelix. Seeing this scene, Zhang Xingyun came to this conclusion, that the bond power with the elves is also strong and weak. Nidoking felt the endless power in his body, and the energy around him became particularly cordial. The ground under his feet can be controlled more freely, with faster speed than before, stronger power, and can also use the ground to fight against the enemy. Now the title of champion is well deserved. Feeling the powerful aura of Nidoking, Xingyun was happy for him. Hahaha, it's still a little early, and my championship is still a little watery now, Zhang Xingyun said with a smile on his face. After a series of amplifications, Nidoking and Crystal Steelix have reached the combat power of champion level 1. But the real realm is still the peak of the late king. But Zhang Xingyun is confident that they will soon break through the champion level and become real champion elves. Now he has no shortage of resources, but time and combat experience. In addition to being happy, Zhang Xingyun also encouraged Dragonite and Blastoise to work hard, and one day they can reach this realm. Nidoking's breakthrough also made his originally bad mood better. As long as you have strength, why worry about wealth and status? Zhang Xingyun stayed in the training ground with the elves until late at night, then returned to his room to practice. Starlight shone around Zhang Xingyun's body, and the energy between heaven and earth surged here, absorbed into his body, and strengthened his strength. When Nidoking broke through, he also benefited a little, and his strength increased a little, but he was still a long way from the peak of the late Heavenly King. Wait, I'm going to the Nana and Black Market. The next day, the two were eating breakfast, and Zhang Xingyun said, maybe according to what Yi Crossing said, a lot of trouble can be avoided, and it can also have a deterrent effect on some people. Then I'll go with you, I can help. After listening, Xingyun expressed her willingness to go with you. Okay. Zhang Xingyun did not refuse and agreed. Then the two rode on the back of the violent flying dragon, and flew towards the direction of Shencheng. The Nana and Black Market is in the direction of Shencheng. According to the information sent by Yi Crossing, the two came directly to a place surrounded by mountains. As soon as they landed, a group of people surrounded them. This team was well equipped and the people were extremely cautious. One of the leaders was an elite trainer. Seeing that the situation was not good and Zhang Xingyun and his men were coming aggressively, the other people immediately contacted the others through the communicator. Call your leader over here. Zhang Xingyun said loudly. Sir, I don't know what you mean. What do you mean? You've come here, what else can it mean? You just provoked me. 3 minutes, if no one comes, don't blame me. Zhang Xingyun said coldly. Roar the Tyrannosaurus behind him roared. Under the threat of Tyrannosaurus, the opponent's Pokémon were terrified and trembled on the ground. Their trainers couldn't help but tremble in their legs and sweat. Sir, why do you have to embarrass them? Now I'm here, you can tell me if you have anything to say. A ripple appeared in the space in front of them, and then a gentleman wearing gold-rimmed glasses and an Alakazam appeared. Judging from the aura it exuded, this Alakazam was a king-level Pokémon. Are you the one who's in charge here? Zhang Xingyun looked at the man who suddenly appeared and said, yes, I'm the one who's in charge here. If you have anything to say, just tell me. If you're here to cause trouble, don't blame us for being rude. The gentleman's tone was threatening. You're welcome. Come out, guys. Nidoras and Zhang Xingyun released several of Nidoking's strongest elves. After Nidoking and the others appeared, they all roared at each other loudly. The man was a little overwhelmed after Nidoking and the others appeared. 2 late-stage peak Heavenly Kings and several Heavenly King level elves put him under great pressure. You're welcome. Let me see how you can be rude. Even if LUOG comes, I'm not afraid. Zhang Xingyun said coldly. The LUOG he mentioned was the champion of the LUO family in Shencheng. From the information sent by Yi Crossing, the LUO family was behind the scenes of the Nana and Black Market. Maybe there is some misunderstanding. We can discuss it in detail. Hearing what he said, and seeing the look of Nidoking, the man softened his tone and became humble. Heh. Zhang Xingyun sneered, and then talked about the purpose of his visit. You should be able to find out about this matter, and I hope you can cooperate with me in the investigation. Otherwise I will not be polite. Zhang Xingyun said firmly. Chapter 792 Qiu Long's plan. Maybe there is some misunderstanding. Can we move to the inside to discuss in detail? The man saw Zhang Xingyun put on such a scene, and the pressure and aura emanating from undertaking were particularly strong. His tone softened, and his attitude changed accordingly. At the same time, he also recognized who was in front of him. Okay. Then, the three of them came to a luxuriously decorated reception room, where many valuable antique calligraphy and paintings were placed. This man is called Chen Qi. According to him, he received a mission to attack my company's employees here in the past few days. I think you can find out what I want. Zhang Xingyun handed over Chen Qi's photo and said lightly, Chen Qi, I'll have someone investigate. The man took the picture, asked a subordinate to come in, and asked the subordinate to investigate. You are from the Luo family, right? I heard that you two have made a lot of money and resources here. Zhang Xingyun said with a relaxed look. Yes, I'm Rosen. I just earned hard-earned money. It's not worth mentioning. Rosen said with a smile. Well, I don't care whether you make big money or hard-earned money. Anyway, I don't want anything against me to happen in your black market. If this happens again, don't blame me. Zhang Xingyun said coldly. While he was talking, the original subordinate came back with a computer in his hand. Rosen took it, put it on the table, and said to Zhang Xingyun and the others. You two, this is the person who appeared in our place these days. The person who contacted him is this person. Rosen pointed to a figure wrapped in a black robe on the screen and said, what the person bought in the black market can be seen. From beginning to end, the person never took off the black robe on his body, so people couldn't see his appearance. Based on the few things he bought, it is impossible to guess his identity. Give me a copy of this information. Zhang Xingyun said. Okay. Rosen did not refuse. After some operations, he copied a copy of the information to him. After getting the results, Zhang Xingyun also left this black market and then walked around other black markets. I've put so much effort into this, but I still can't figure it out. Don't let me know who is targeting me, or I won't be polite. On the way home, Zhang Xingyun said harshly, the last attack on the company and the killing of employees this time must have been carried out by the same person behind the scenes. I wasn't scared, but I was disgusted. If the company is closed, it may be able to avoid these troubles, but in Zhang Xingyun's opinion, the company must be open. If it is closed because of these, what can it do in the future? Hahaha, you did a good job, not bad. In a rocket team base outside Shenzhen, Qiu Long listened to the report of his subordinates and said happily, that's how it should be. Anyway, if you can disgust him, disgust him. The more disgusted he is, the happier I am. Hahaha. Qiu Long leaned back in his chair, laughing, listening to the reports of several subordinates below. These two attacks were related to him. Zhang Xingyun was usually cautious, and he couldn't find a suitable opportunity to attack and kill. So after listening to the opinions of his subordinates, these two things happened. Although he couldn't be killed for the time being, it was good to disgust him. At least that's what Qiu Long thought. After his gang had fully analyzed Zhang Xingyun's information, they also developed several plans against him. Harassing him and disgusting him was also part of the plan. This time, in order to get rid of Zhang Xingyun in one go, Qiu Long was much more careful. He was no longer like before, rushing in head first. He also asked his gang to make plans in order to kill him in one go. You did a good job. I'm very satisfied. Keep up the good work. If you can successfully kill this guy this time, resources, money, beauty, everything, I keep my word. Qiu Long said loudly. Yes. We will do our best to help you achieve your goal. The subordinates heard the words, their eyes became hot, and they all stood up and said loudly, hahaha, very good. Qiu Long laughed loudly, and his voice echoed throughout the room. This time he had to be fully prepared before taking action, even though he had overwhelming power at hand. How is the matter going? That afternoon, Yi Crossing came to the villa again to ask the reason. The clues are broken again. The people in the black market are honest and cooperated to hand over the information. I copied a copy of the information and brought it here. I'll let the professionals like Captain Lin take a look, but they couldn't figure it out. This is also broken. Zhang Xingyun said lightly. Then this matter is a bit complicated. I don't know who is targeting you so much. Yi Crossing thought that he should not offend anyone in this regard because of his usual way of dealing with people. and the reason for targeting him may be other reasons. By the way, I didn't come here to chat this time, but to discuss cooperation with you. Oh. Cooperation? What cooperation? Zhang Xingyun became curious about what kind of cooperation he had. My dad asked me to take over a company of my family. I just took office a few days ago. I have several good projects recently. I didn't think of you. Yi Crossing smiled and took out some information from the space and handed it to him for him to see. Hey, it's you, Mr. Yi. Maybe you are the legendary example of if you don't do well, you can only go home to inherit the family business. Zhang Xingyun joked, flipping through the information and taking a look, and found that this company is currently a good company with a considerable annual profit. Hey, no, I just got interested and wanted to give it a try. Yi Crossing waved his hand and smiled. Hey, it's you, Mr. Yi. What are your plans for training a trainer? Looking at Yi Crossing, Zhang Xingyun asked. Just give it a try. I have to learn from you. Maybe I can have a good development in this way. Yi Crossing replied, which was also the result of his long thinking. Is that so? Then I wish you can find your own direction. Zhang Xingyun blessed. Well, it's just a try. I won't slack off in training. Then do your best. Okay. After sitting for a long time, Yi Crossing said goodbye and left. Zhang Xingyun looked at the contract on the table and couldn't help laughing. Yi Crossing is a very righteous person. The projects that she cooperates with are all profitable and helpful to the development of her current company. Zhang Xingyun took these contracts to the company and handed them over to Cheng Zhu. After a round of inspection, he found that there was nothing to do, so he drove to the cultivation center in Changning City. The energy blocks on hand were almost used up, and another batch had to be made. Chapter 793. Watching the game and reporting in the base. Buzz in the machine room of the Cultivation Association. A burst of heat appeared in the room. It was another freshly baked energy block, emitting heat. He could make the high-level energy blocks now, but he could not make the gem-level ones for the time being. At present, only the Elf Academy of Sciences could make gem-level energy blocks, and the output was not high. However, Zhang Xingyun was also accumulating energy points, preparing to exchange for the machine that could make gem-level ones. This quality is really good. It would be great if I could use that machine. Zhang Xingyun said regretfully. The machine he was talking about was the machine that was captured from the rocket team and could make energy blocks that exceeded the high-level ones. Unfortunately, it was damaged in the fierce battle and could not be used for production at present. The parts in it were extremely precise. He also placed orders with many large manufacturing companies. At present, Beijingwen and a few others were still debugging it, and it was unknown when they could be used. But soon, furnace after furnace of energy blocks were produced. After they were stored, Zhang Xingyun left the Cultivation Association and rushed home. When he came out, it was already evening. When he returned to the villa, Nangang Yao had prepared dinner and was waiting for him with Madame Huaji. You're back, wash your hands, and get ready for dinner. Seeing him coming, Nangang Yao said happily. Okay, if I come late in the future, you can eat first, and don't have to wait for me. Zhang Xingyun said in a gentle voice. To be honest, it feels good to have someone waiting for you. It feels very warm. What you said is right. It's okay to finish eating early. Nangang Yao replied. The two of them went to the cafeteria with the elves and had a beautiful dinner. By the way, this afternoon, when you were out, Teacher Wang came once. Nangang Yao said while eating. Teacher Wang? Is there anything? Tomorrow is the first day of school for number 9 middle school. The school organized a competition and invited you, the pride of number 9 middle school, and the champion of the competition, to attend. Is that so? Then go tomorrow. Zhang Xingyun chuckled. Lizard King trained very hard. After you went out, he has been training, and Jenga is not as good as before. He trains for a while and rests for a while. He is a sly guy. Nangang Yao talked about the elves. Hey, I know without you telling me, they are just like this. As their trainer, he knows their personalities and how they behave on weekdays. The venue configuration here is a bit weak, and the first level kings can't bear it. I want to rebuild and upgrade the venue here so that Tanabata Bluebird and Metagross can also have a place to train. Okay, just make your decision. Today, the electric shock monster was excited again and couldn't control itself. It exploded again for a while. The two of them ate dinner while talking about trivial matters in life, all of which revolved around the elves. Just like ordinary couples in their previous lives always like to talk about their children. The next day, the two came to Changning No. 9 Middle School. Thanks to Zhang Xingyun's influence, No. 9 Middle School received a lot more resources, and the school's funding doubled. The school's gate was also built more magnificently. Haha, I knew you two would come. A luxury car drove by, and Yi Crossing got out of the car in a suit and tie. Fang Hongjian next to him was also dressed very formally. Hey, are you two going on a blind date? You're dressed so well. Seeing the two of them like this, Zhang Xingyun joked. Hey, you don't understand this, right? Now you are a president at least. You can't embarrass yourself in front of your juniors. Why don't you wear your championship clothes? You're dressed so casually. Yi Crossing pulled the tie on his chest and said, I'm fine like this. Zhang Xingyun chuckled. Several people walked into the school gate with laughter and went straight to the principal's office. When they arrived, the familiar teachers had already arrived. After a few greetings, they went to the familiar venue together to watch the next game. His arrival also made everyone excited. Many students rushed forward to take photos with him and get autographs. After a long time of excitement, they retreated. Haha, Xingyun, do you plan to participate in today's King of Kings competition? Vice Principal Wang asked with a smile. Yes, I plan to, and I'm currently preparing. Zhang Xingyun replied. Haha, maybe our No. 9 Middle School will have one of the 4 kings. Principal Li Yuning, who was sitting next to him, said. There are many talented people in the King of Kings tournament, and I'm not sure about it yet. Zhang Xingyun said slowly. Zhang Wanjun, don't be so modest. You said that last time, but you won every time. Yi Crossing joked. He had known him for so long, and knew what kind of person he was. Even if he was in an obviously unfavorable environment, he could always turn the tide. It is thanks to you that our No. 9 Middle School has won glory for No. 9 Middle School, and Changning No. 9 Middle School is what it is today. Principal Li Yuning said with satisfaction. Several people echoed, and the competition under the stage began. The fight was back and forth, but the fighting style and routines were a little immature. There were only a few who could make the eyes of several people shine. Zhang Xingyun also took out a few energy cubes to reward the winning students, which was considered as support for his senior. So now the whole of Nanayu is managed by King Lang. Deep in the South China Sea, in a huge base, Zhang Xingfeng listened to the report of his subordinates. Yes, sir. Since you went to Neon, such arrangements have been made. One of the subordinates below answered. Oh. Zhang Xingfeng said, tapping his fingers on the table. What about the Yangtze base? After a while, Zhang Xingfeng asked. After the destruction of the Yangtze base, the items and artifacts in the base were seized by the government and used by many companies. Among them, the most sophisticated energy cube equipment in the base was obtained by Zhang Xingyun, the champion of this national competition, and the data on the elves and people was obtained by Huaxia Biology. Another person stood up and reported seriously. Judging from the content of the report, it was quite detailed, and it also showed the intelligence capabilities of the rocket team. Well, do you have any news about the Qinglang envoy, Qiulong, and Zuanwu envoy? Zhang Xingfeng nodded after listening, and then asked a new question. From what I have learned, the Azure Dragon envoy is on Qianmen Island, confronting officials. I heard that an important secret realm has appeared there. The Black Tortoise envoy is in the headquarters, and has not gone out. The Qiulong envoy is in the Changning area of Shenzhen, and his movements are unclear. It seems that he is planning something important. Well, then where is a new post? What is the situation of the forces there? Zhang Xingfeng talked about other things, and listened to the reports from his men. Chapter 794 The Popular Nado Family. The headquarters has not yet issued a transfer order for the post, and I don't know where it is. Hey, it seems that those people are quite humane, so I can take a break for a while. Zhang Xingfeng supported his hands and yawned. You should pay more attention to the movements in South Vietnam, especially Qiulong. I want to see what this kid is going to do after taking over my territory. Zhang Xingyun ordered. Yes, I will definitely pay attention. Several people below said in unison. Hahaha, don't be so serious, we are also old friends who have been together all the way. Seeing Zhang Xingyun say this, the atmosphere was relaxed, and several people began to talk about other things. Zhang Xingyun smiled and listened to the people below. His eyes were deep, and I didn't know what he was thinking. At this time, Zhang Xingyun and others were watching the game. Zhang Xingyun watched the battle on the field with interest. It was a battle between an Edo King and a Talon. Both elves were at the peak of ordinary strength. As a senior high school student, this was already very impressive. Bang, 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 the two Pokémons fought in close combat, their fists collided, and there were muffled sounds, and the scene was somewhat exciting. Zhang Xingyun also found that the fighting style of the Nido King on the field was somewhat similar to that of his own Nido King. The Nido family became popular a while ago because of you. Many new trainers chose the Pokémons of the Nido family, and Pokémons like Nidolang were in short supply. Yi Crossing said with a smile. Really? That's good too. Zhang Xingyun also smiled when he heard it. But the Pokémons of the Nido family in the wild have a hard time. I don't know whether they want to thank you or hate you. Ha ha ha. Boom, a huge explosion sounded on the battlefield, and the smoke dissipated. The Bacchus was lying on the ground. The trainer of the Nido King won this game. Look, there is also a Nido King on the field over there. Yi Crossing pointed to another field and said, yeah. Maybe the students of number 9 middle school were influenced by him, and many of them were breeding a Nido King. Pokémons like Nido King are also good Pokémons. With the help of Zhang Xingyun, more people choose to cultivate Pokémons like Nido King. There are many good seedlings in our number 9 middle school this year. Principal Li Yuning said with a smile. Well, it's true. There are more people who go to famous schools than in our class. Zhang Xingyun agreed, sitting on the rostrum, watching the battles on the field and occasionally commenting on them. Zhang Xingyun thought of himself in the past, who was also a member of the battle on the field. At that time, they were also commenting on him, and he couldn't help but feel a little emotional. He has been blessed along the way. In a few years, he has reached a place that many people can't reach in their lifetime. Champion strength, subduing mythical beasts, and powerful supernatural powers. Sometimes Zhang Xingyun would also be full of emotion. What are you thinking about? Nangang Yao's voice came to his ears, and Zhang Xingyun came back to his senses. Looking at them reminded me of the past. Zhang Xingyun replied with a smile. Well, we were similar to them at the beginning. Nangang Yao nodded, and a look of reminiscence appeared on her face. In the evening, the two left the school and returned to the villa. Zhang Xingyun would not participate in the next number 9 middle school competition. It was enough to participate today. My brother called just now and asked why we left so quickly. I told him about it. Nangang Yao said at dinner. Well, I forgot to tell him. Zhang Xingyun thought of this. The two hurried back that day, and then they were busy again, and did not explain to him. My brother asked again, do you need help? Not for the time being, I can handle it. Okay. The two talked about other things and chatted. In the next few days, no other accidents happened. Zhang Xingyun trained the elves, went to the company, and occasionally went to the new city to participate in the construction of the new city. His life was quite fulfilling. Zhengji Ui Shadow Ball. Hiss boom on a large lake. Zhengji Ui was fighting with several Tyrannosaurus. Jenga's Shadow Ball landed in front of one of the Gyarados. With a loud bang, the whole body fell backwards and fell into the water, splashing water. Raw seeing this, the other Gyarados were furious, opened their fangs and huge mouths, and attacked with a beam of destructive death. His Jenga fought back, and the attacks of both sides collided in mid-air, making a roar, accompanied by a large black mushroom cloud rising up. His Jenga suddenly appeared out of thin air, with a pair of bloodshot eyes shining with a strange light. The two Gyarados facing it were stunned, and their originally brave eyes became blurred. Raw one of the Gyarados reacted first, but at this time Jenga's attack came again. Boom boom boom. After a round of attacks, there was still one Gyarados roaring on the lake. Hulala Gyarados stirred the lake, raising layers of water waves, rising into the sky, and pressing towards Jenga. Hulala. After the attack, Gyarados found that there was no trace of Jenga. Jenga's voice suddenly came from behind. Then there was a sharp pain in the head. Jenga's shadow fist landed on Gyarados. Jenga avoided Gyarados' iron tail, opened his bows left and right, and hit Gyarados' body with one move after another. Bang! In the end, Gyarados fell down unwillingly, and Jenga won the battle with one against many. Jenga put his hands on his waist and laughed triumphantly. There were a total of 5 Gyarados below. The strongest one was a peak of the Quasi King, 2 Quasi Kings in the late stage, and 2 Quasi Kings in the middle stage, all of which were defeated by it, and it was still considered an easy defeat. Well, very good. Keep up the good work and break through to the king level soon. Zhang Xingyun said this when Jenga came to Zhang Xingyun to ask for credit. Jenga's strength has now broken through to the late stage of the Quasi King level, and is not far from the first level of the king level. Let's go. Let's move on to the next one. After packing up, Zhang Xingyun took the 2 elves, Lizard King and Jenga, and left the place. The main training targets are Lizard King and Jenga, and occasionally Regirock and Metagross are also used. They all got good training results. Near dusk, Zhang Xingyun and the elves stopped training. Riding on the back of Pidgeot, Zhang Xingyun came to the champion town. As soon as he landed, he saw 4 men who were pressed to the ground and tied up by vines, as well as unconscious elves, and there were traces of fighting around. Seeing this scene, Zhang Xingyun's expression immediately sank. Chapter 795. Wild Wolf reappears. Has this place also been targeted? Zhang Xingyun murmured. Squeak woo! Several elves ran to Zhang Xingyun and explained to him. It showed the intentions of the people in front of him. As Zhang Xingyun thought, these people came to attack here earlier. Several elves here were attacked. The turtle that noticed the movement here took action in time and defeated these people and their elves here. So there was this scene in front of him. I know. Zhang Xingyun said to these elves. Zhang Xingyun carried 4 people to a pavilion, woke up one of them, and began to interrogate, and then interrogated the others. Wild Wolf. Hey, how dare you come to harass me? After the interrogation, Zhang Xingyun learned that the people in front of him were an organization he had destroyed before. Wild Wolf. It was also the organization that attacked the company and injured Lin Ji and others before. I was still looking for you, but I didn't expect you to come to my door. Zhang Xingyun said angrily. Have mercy. Seeing Zhang Xingyun was angry, several people begged for mercy. Zheng Jiui. Zhang Xingyun gave Zheng Jiui a look. Zheng Jiui understood and floated towards the 4 people. Have mercy, we know we were wrong. Go and turn yourself in, right away. Sensing his intention, several people hurriedly said. No need, just go on your way. Zhang Xingyun said coldly. Under Zheng Jiui's attack, the 4 people and their Pokémon quickly lost their breath. There is no need to be soft-hearted to these people. Judging from their behavior, it is estimated that they have done these things a lot, and their deaths are not unfair at all. It is only when they meet him that they beg for mercy and pretend to be pitiful. If they meet someone weaker than them, they will immediately become deadly wolves. Killing them. Zhang Xingyun has no psychological burden at all. Since he became a trainer, he has been abiding by his original intention, and he does not participate in killing and robbing. He does not want to kill people, but he does not necessarily not kill. Be a good person in your next life. Zhang Xingyun said lightly, and then he cleaned up their bodies, and the 4 people disappeared from the world. After interrogating them, Zhang Xingyun also learned about one of their bases, as well as information about the members of the Wild Wolf organization, and also let him know what the founder of this organization, the Wild Wolf, looked like. Then he picked up his phone and contacted Nangang Yao, taking advantage of the fact that they hadn't reacted yet to catch them off guard. After the contact was made, Zhang Xingyun took out Pidgeot's Pokémon and called it out. Come out. Pidgeot, fly in this direction. Zhang Xingyun pointed to the direction of the destination and said. Pidgeot flapped its wings and carried him in the designated direction. As soon as it got dark, Zhang Xingyun came to the forest at the junction of Nanhai City and Changling City. This is another base of the Wild Wolf. Wild Wolf, I'll turn you into a dead wolf later. During the interrogation, it was learned that the boss of this organization was nicknamed Wild Wolf, a trainer with the strength of a king, and a well-known figure in this area. Last time when Zhang Xingyun led the team to eliminate that stronghold, he had already slipped away. This time, Zhang Xingyun wanted to catch him off guard and see if he could take him down. Maybe after taking him down, he could learn something and find out who was behind the scenes. A few minutes later, Nangang Yeo arrived. This matter needed to be done quickly, so Zhang Xingyun only notified Nangang Yeo. "Xingyun, I'm here. Did you find anything?" Nangang Yeo stopped and asked. "Well, this is a photo of the wild wolf, and there are several senior personnel. This time we have to capture them. Maybe we can learn something from them," Zhang Xingyun said quickly. "Okay." Nangang Yeo looked at the photo and nodded, indicating that she knew. Without further delay, let's sneak in and take a look. Okay. The two put away the elves and disappeared on the spot. 300 or 400 meters underground, Zhang Xingyun and the other person appeared in a passage, surrounded by a thin layer of protective shield. Some detection devices hidden around them could not detect the two people. The two used teleportation and magic to evade the detection of the device and sneaked in easily. Along the way, they passed many areas where there were some ordinary members. Zhang Xingyun ignored them and followed the route to the high-level position. In a conference room, 4 men and 1 woman were having a meeting and talking about something. In the corner of the conference room, a ripple appeared in the space and Zhang Xingyun and his partner appeared. The two wandered around the base and interrogated a few people who were alone. When they learned that several leaders were meeting in this conference room, they immediately rushed here. "Who?" The appearance of the two startled one of the men, who immediately interrupted the meeting and shouted, which also attracted the attention of others. Who Zhang Xingyun didn't waste any words and took action directly. Boom! After a series of earthquakes, the original conference room became a ruin, with countless mud, sand, and dust flying in it. Big Wolfhound, Evil Wave, Raichu, 100,000 volts, Nida Queen, Sludge Bomb. Boom boom boom, colorful moves exploded in this space, and under the influence of this attack, everything began to collapse. Midao Metagross suddenly appeared, and a ray of light lit up. It was its Comet Fist. Bang 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 with each move, the Pokémon hit was instantly severely injured, and screams continued for a while. These Quasi-King level Pokémons could not stop Metagross at all. Raichu, Electric Ball, Nidoqueen, Destruction Death Beam. The two Quasi-King level Pokémons, under the command of their trainers, aimed at Metagross and attacked it. Bang bang bang. Midao. After the attack, Metagross was safe and sounded, and it flashed behind the two Pokémons. Chew! With a scream, Raichu was hit by Metagross and fell to the ground. Nido. Then, it was Nidoqueen again, who also lost consciousness under the fierce attack of Metagross. Damn it, Sandslash, let's go. In the noisy battlefield, one of the original 5 people sent out a Sandslash, and seeing that things were going nowhere, he wanted to evacuate here. Swish! After the Sandslash appeared, it immediately waved its arms and quickly hit the cave, and was about to evacuate with its trainer. Hiss! A black shadow suddenly appeared beside them, and a shiny Jenga smiled at them cunningly, with a strange light flashing in its eyes. The man and the Pokémon were instantly hypnotized, stopped in place, and there was no movement. The battles in other places were a one-sided battle. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 796, Cruel. Bang, bang, bang. Several slamming sounds were heard, and the figure of the Lizard King also swept through the crowd. With his agile posture, he could always inflict heavy damage to the enemy between his moves. There was no need for the elves such as Nidoking to take action. The Lizard King alone stabilized the situation. At the beginning, several other members of this stronghold came to support, but they were dealt with by the Lizard King. After feeling the powerful aura emitted by the giant gold monsters, the people who came later immediately retreated and did not dare to move forward. The strength of these people is not strong. Most of them are elite level, and there are a few ordinary level. Damn, this place can't stay any longer. Chyanran Bird teleports. Take me away from here. The man who found Zhang Xingyun at the first time released a Chyanran Bird of the price of the king. This is his only Shinran elf, and it is also the reason why he was able to find Zhang Xingyun and the others at the first time. Now this place is definitely not here. The people who came to attack them are very powerful. The people in their entire stronghold are no match. As soon as the Shinran bird appeared, a burst of space energy immediately bloomed from its body, wrapping the people and elves in it, ready to teleport. Take me with you. The woman among the 5 people happened to be nearby. Seeing this, she came over directly, not even caring about her elf who was still fighting. Take her with you. Li hearing the man's words, Shinran bird also attached spatial energy to the woman and took advantage of the chaos to teleport away from here. Want to leave? Have you asked me? Zhang Xingyun suddenly appeared, and at the same time, a spatial force burst out from his body, interfering with Shinran bird's teleportation and interrupting its teleportation. Bang! Zhang Xingyun raised his hand and hit, and a wave missile hit Shinran bird and smashed it to the side. Meanwhile, the figure of the giant gold monster also appeared at this moment and attacked Shinran bird. Bang bang bang. After a few moves, Shinran bird also lost consciousness and lay on one side without moving. Who are you? Why are you attacking us? The man asked loudly. I want to ask you why you are following suit. Zhang Xingyun sneered and captured the 2 men. The battle on the other side also ended. All the resisting elves fell down and there was no movement. Nangang Yeo also captured a few people and walked over with them. Still can't catch him. Zhang Xingyun took a look and found that the wild wolf was not among the people he captured. Where is your leader? Zhang Xingyun asked the 2 people he captured. I don't know. The man said in a deep voice. Still a tough guy. Bang! An energy attack hit the man's body, blasting him up, and he fell on the wall with a bang, sliding to the ground, blood slowly flowing from his body, and his whole body was twitching. Then the whole body floated again, and came in front of Zhang Xingyun. Where is the wild wolf? Don't think I dare not kill people. Zhang Xingyun asked again. It will not be polite to these people. I really don't know. Don't kill me. Cough cough. The man said intermittently, coughing blood. Seeing him like this, Zhang Xingyun put him on the ground with a snap. Tell me, where is the wild wolf? Zhang Xingyun brought up the woman next to him and came to him. I don't know either. Our leader left here with a team of members. I don't know where he went. The woman hurriedly explained, fearing that she would end up like the man. I've asked Xingyun, but these 2 don't know either. Nangang Yeo came over and said softly. There were originally 5 people, but 1 died in the fierce battle just now, and only 4 were captured. Zhang Xingyun used hypnosis to interrogate the 4 people, and the result was the same. They really didn't know where the wild wolf went. I really don't know what they are doing. Is it so good to go against me? Zhang Xingyun said depressedly, feeling a little confused. A lot of members escaped here just now, and the wild wolf should know what happened here, and it will be difficult to arrest him next time. Check the information and see if there is anything to find. Nangang Yeo suggested, and then called the 4 people to cooperate with them. In order to survive, the 4 people also tried their best to cooperate with the 2 people and checked the recent information of the entire organization. After checking, they found nothing. It's broken here again. Zhang Xingyun frowned and said, if the wild wolf was caught, it might be possible to know who was targeting him and eradicate this problem. But now the enemies here have been captured, and the wild wolf has escaped again. What about them? Nangang Yeo pointed at the 4 people and a dozen members of the organization who were standing aside. Let's go. Zhang Xingyun said in a deep voice. Is this okay? Nangang Yeo said with some doubts, and was a little puzzled about letting them go so easily. Let's go. Zhang Xingyun repeated, and then teleported, and disappeared from the spot. Nangang Yeo also teleported, and disappeared from the spot. Are we okay? After the 2 left, the man who was originally attacked by Zhang Xingyun stood up tremblingly, and then showed contempt on his face. Hey, they are strong, but they are still too young. Anyway, we say it's okay. One of the women continued. Haha, they are all young men and young ladies. It's normal for them to be a little young. Another person next to him laughed. Damn it, I'll find a formal job when I go back. I don't want to do this kind of job anymore. This time I met these 2 young and experienced trainers. We are all dead. When several people were talking about their relief, a strong light suddenly appeared in front of them, accompanied by a tremor. Boom roar after the destructive death light, the super crystal Steelix slapped another blow and plowed the entire area again. In the sky outside, Zhang Xingyun and the other person rode on the Tyrannosaurus together. When the crystal Steelix drilled out of the ground, he took it back and then flew away. I thought you were going to let them go. On the back of the Tyrannosaurus, Nangang Yeo looked at him and chuckled. It turned out that she thought he was going to let those people go, and she wanted to persuade him not to be so soft-hearted. How could that be? If they were fugitives on the road, perhaps I would send them to prison. But for these, they are capable of doing this, and many evil things. Killing them would be considered as revenge for those who were persecuted by them. I'm not stupid and compassionate. Hearing this, Zhang Xingyun said calmly, he would not be merciful to them, especially to those who had committed crimes against him. Chapter 797, Planning and Charizard Breakthrough. Why, Joa, do you think I'm cruel? Zhang Xingyun turned his head and looked at her delicate face and said, no. Nangang Yeo took his hand and leaned on him. If it makes you uncomfortable, I will pay attention next time. No, it's right to be ruthless to the enemy. Being kind to the enemy is cruel to yourself. I originally wanted to advise you like this. I'm not a spoiled girl or a young lady who has never seen the world. Hearing this, Nangang Yeo immediately said that she was not a kind-hearted person and she would not be polite to the enemy. The two looked at each other and smiled knowingly. In this elf world, ruthlessness is not a mistake, especially in the world where there is no law and strength is respected. The violent dragon carried the two people to the outside of the champion town. The violent dragon slowly landed on the ground, and Zhang Xingyun and the others came to the ground. At this time, the golden crow fell to the west, the setting sun was like blood, and the sky had already darkened. The two planned to stay here tonight, and not go back to the city. After the two arrived, many elves came over and chatted to play with them. Come out, everyone. Zhang Xingyun released Nidoking and the others from the elf balls and let them move freely. While Zhang Xingyun and the others were teasing the elves, Zhang Xingfeng was talking to a young man in a rocket team base outside Shenzhen. Why don't you recognize me as your old boss, now that you have a new master? Zhang Xingfeng raised his eyebrows and said to the young man in front of him. For some reasons, he came here. The man in front of him was named Luo Shang. He was a descendant of the Luo family, the new champion family in Shenzhen, and was also Zhang Xingfeng's subordinate when he served in Nanhai province. The Luo family in Shenzhen also secretly defected to the rocket team, but it was unknown to outsiders, and Zhang Xingfeng happened to be one of them who knew them. Last year, Luog, the champion of the Luo family, was promoted to the champion level with the secret help of the rocket team. As a huge dark organization, there are naturally many preparations in the society of Huaxia country, and the Luo family is one of them. Lord Shadow, what you said is too embarrassing for me. Hearing this, Luo Shang said with difficulty. He could not be disrespectful to this old boss. Although he smiled very gently now, he was ruthless when he took action. As his subordinate, he naturally knew it. He didn't know what the old boss's intention was for his sudden visit. Tell me, what did Qiu Long do after taking over my power? He even lost the Yangxing base that I had managed for a long time. Zhang Xingfeng said casually, picked up the cup next to him and drank water. This? Luo Shang hesitated a little. What's wrong? Did I ask about some secrets? It makes you so entangled. Seeing him like this, Zhang Xingfeng put down the cup and said, it's not a secret. In fact, after Lord Qiulang came here, he didn't do anything. He just asked us to plan something for him. He also asked us to keep it secret. There was nothing else. Maybe there was something, but I didn't know about it. Luo Shang said truthfully. Oh. He would ask you to plan something. This is strange. It doesn't fit his usual style. This aroused my curiosity. Tell me, what did he ask you to plan? Zhang Xingfeng laughed and continued to ask. This? Haha, forget it. I won't care about your nonsense. Bring me the scientific research materials. I will go back to the headquarters in a few days. Anyway, Lord, you are not an outsider. It doesn't matter if you tell me. Lord Qiulang's recent plan is to ambush and kill Zhang Xingyun, the champion of the self competition. Well, what else? No, even if there is, I don't know. Luo Shang shook his head. Heh, I thought it was something earth-shattering, but it turned out to be this shitty thing. I think he is old and confused. He is doing all these nonsense. Why can't that kid just charge directly? He also dragged you to plan and arrange together, and went through so much trouble. Zhang Xingfeng said disparagingly, while thinking in his heart. Lord Qiulang attaches great importance to it, and has made many preparations for it. My uncle also participated in it, and was ready to help. We studied Zhang Xingyun's behavior and personality, and then formulated a plan to deal with him. At first, we mainly provoked him. Luo Shang told him the previous plan. I didn't expect you to be so thorough. After all this time, it turned out to be this shitty thing. I thought it was something else. Okay, give me the information. After listening to Luo Shang's story, Zhang Xingfeng stood up and ordered him. Sir, you have some time now. If you can also join in. Zhang Xingyun's elves are also rare, and you can also make peace with Qiulong. Luo Shang tried to say, after handing him the information. TSK, go tell Qiulong that, if he comes to ask me, I will consider it. I have time, but I'm not idle. I will not help him. After saying that, he ignored Luo Shang and left the base and flew away. Oh, I know, but 2 champions are enough. 1 less person is nothing. Luo Shang said as he looked at Zhang Xingfeng who was going away. At this time, Zhang Xingyun didn't know that someone was trying to ambush him behind the scenes. In the champion town, a hot and dazzling fire shot up into the sky, accompanied by a majestic pressure sweeping in all directions. Wu, the fire-breathing dragon that successfully broke through, flew happily in the sky. After this period of hard work, Charizard successfully broke through and is now at the late stage of the king. Following Crystal Steelix, Nidoking, and Claw Mantis, it also entered the late stage of the king earlier than Pidgeot. In terms of strength, it can be ranked 4th in the team. Charizard has also broken through. This child usually works very hard, and this is not ashamed of its efforts. Looking at Charizard flying in the air, Zhang Xingyun on the ground said happily, efforts will always be rewarded. Nangang Yeo smiled. On weekdays, she also saw Charizard's performance. Charizard came to the ground, opened his arms, and gave him a hug. It can be here today, and it is also the credit of the trainer in front of him. Without him, he might have died. Hahaha, it's good to break through. We still have a long way to go in the future. Zhang Xingyun patted Charizard and laughed. Wu and Nangang Yeo smiled beside him and watched this warm scene. Chapter 798 Zhang Xingfeng arrives. Then Zhang Xingyun picked up the Super Evolution Keystone, super evolved with Charizard, and then amplified it with a spirit attachment technique. A Charizard that was different from its kind and exuded a powerful aura appeared on the scene. What a pity, it still hasn't broken through to the 1st level of the champion. Zhang Xingyun said with some regret. After the super evolution and the spirit attachment technique, the current Charizard strength has reached the peak of the late King of Heaven, infinitely close to the champion realm, but it is still a little short, and has not really entered the 1st level of the champion. Charizard called out, exerting all its strength, trying to break through the bottleneck of the champion realm. Several attempts ended in failure. Take your time, Charizard, don't rush. Now the time is not right. When the time comes, the breakthrough will be a matter of course. Seeing this, Zhang Xingyun comforted. Charizard slowly put away its power. It's almost there, don't worry. Zhang Xingyun smiled and patted Charizard, letting it relax. The current Charizard's foundation is still a little weak, which is why it can't break through the champion level. Now Charizard has also broken through to the late stage of the Heavenly King, and Zhang Xingyun also plans to use gem level energy blocks on it in an attempt to break through to the champion as soon as possible. Nido Hassan Nidoking and others spoke up to congratulate it. Charizard came later and joined the team later, but it has always been very hard working. Now it has surpassed several predecessors such as Pidgeot and Electabuzz, and has reached this stage first. Afterwards, Zhang Xingyun and Nangang Yeo enjoyed dinner with the elves. Life is getting better and better. Looking at the scene of the elves gathered together and eating together, Zhang Xingyun murmured, Next, if the progress goes well, Banglass, Blasto Eyes, and Dragonite will also break through one after another. I have to work hard too. The gap has been widened again. Nangang looked at this scene and said in her heart. Days passed one by one, and a week passed quickly. During this week, Zhang Xingyun lived a fulfilling life. During this time, he moved most of the company's industries to the champion town. Because the new city has been settled, the general urban framework has been built, and the remaining things are for the residents to build by themselves. He also took advantage of the situation and moved the company to Champion Town. The rest of the time, he was on the elves, taking them to the wild, participating in battles, and using battles to stimulate the growth of strength. Don King City's chief investigator, don't you plan to compete? In an administrative building in the new city, Ling Feng said to Zhang Xingyun. The Don King City, in his words, was the name of the new city. With your conditions, if you participate in the competition, the position of chief will most likely belong to you. Ling Feng said again. Forget it, Uncle Ling. I don't want to take on such a heavy responsibility for the time being. Zhang Xingyun rejected Ling Feng's proposal. He still focused his energy on the elves. If he served as the chief investigator of a city, it would consume his energy. He was not interested in the position of chief that others were vying for. He still had many things to do next. Well, then. Seeing this, Ling Feng also stopped persuading him and talked to him about some domestic affairs. After chatting for a long time, Zhang Xingyun said goodbye and left. Walking out of the administrative building, I looked at some new constructions in Don King City. Now there are shopping malls settled here and started to operate. One after another, many families responded to the policy and moved here. Education, medical care, administration, etc. are also gradually improving. This newly built city will get better and better. Human beings are also gradually expanding their living space. They will not lose their land and cities helplessly like 100 years ago. Zhang Xingyun rode on the elf and flew over the road to Champion Town. Along the way, people came here to build manors and were busy building their own manors. There were also buses driving on the road. There were also forest rangers patrolling on both sides of the road to prevent some situations from happening. This place has become a human residence. After returning to the residence in Champion Town, Nangang Yeo had already prepared the meal and ate together. Uncle Ling asked me to go over today and asked me to participate in the competition for the chief investigator of Xinshi. I refused. Zhang Xingyun said while eating. Not for now. The chief investigator is so busy. My brother is like that. He has very little free time. Well, I think so too. I don't want to be the chief investigator now. The world is so big. I have to go and see it. Zhang Xingyun said with a smile. After dinner, it was already dark. The sun was hanging in the west, emitting a faint light. Zhang Xingyun sat on a reclining chair, looking at the elves playing in the distance, enjoying this leisurely time. Life is pretty good, so leisurely. Suddenly a familiar voice came to his ears. Zhang Xingyun immediately looked at the source of the sound, and when he saw the person coming, his face was happy. Brother, why are you here? Zhang Xingyun immediately stood up to greet him, and the person coming was his brother Zhang Xingfeng. I have nothing to do recently, so I came to your place. Zhang Xingfeng said with a smile, and came to sit in the pavilion. It's nice here. There are mountains and water, beautiful scenery, and pleasant scenery. Even some scenic spots can't compare to it. Zhang Xingfeng looked around and praised. If you like it, stay here for a few more days. This is also my private estate. Usually, no one comes here. Zhang Xingyun saw this and said, let him stay for a few more days. Haha, let's talk about it. There is a powerful elf there. Zhang Xingfeng looked in the direction of the earth turtle and said, well, that elf is the earth turtle. It appeared here earlier, because I helped it a little. Zhang Xingyun recounted the earth turtle's previous affairs. You are really lucky to have gained its trust. Although it is not your elf, it will be safe here. After listening to its words, Zhang Xingfeng nodded, and was also surprised at the fate of his younger brother. He was able to gain the trust of a champion level elf. Haha, I have always had good luck. By the way, brother, I'm sorry about your base in Yangxing Forest. I also participated in it. Many of the equipment in my company came from your original base. At this point, Zhang Xingyun seemed a little embarrassed. After all, he was also involved in the destruction of that base. It's okay. That base is of no use to me. Zhang Xingfeng didn't care. His personnel had already evacuated after the destruction of the base. For the rockets, it was a huge loss of a large base, but for him, it didn't have any impact. He had already been on a mission in another place. Chapter 799, Presentation Plan. Is that the company you founded? You don't want to be a champion anymore, but want to be a president? Zhang Xingfeng joked. Jia brought it up first. I didn't think about it at first. When we were in Jinling, we talked about the family business, and she proposed to start a foundation to pass it on. Zhang Xingyun slowly talked about what he said to Nangang Yao in Nangang Mansion in Jinling that day. She is a good girl, don't let her down. After listening, Zhang Xingfeng nodded and said, I definitely won't. Well, if there is a chance, I will also bring your sister-in-law here, so that you can meet her. Okay. The chat between the two also attracted the attention of Nangang Yao in the room. When he saw that it was Zhang Xingfeng, he came out, greeted him enthusiastically, and helped the two of them make tea. My sister-in-law is here too, so I have something to tell you too. At this point, Zhang Xingfeng's face became serious. What's the matter, brother? Zhang Xingyun asked hurriedly. His brother said this, which meant that there must be something important to tell them. Xingyun, have you had a group of people secretly dealing with you recently? Yes, there have been 3 incidents so far. The one who planned these 3 attacks was an organization called Wild Wolf. Zhang Xingyun nodded and said truthfully, yes, but there is someone else behind the scenes. Who is it? Who is the mastermind? Qiu Long and his gang. Zhang Xingfeng said slowly, saying that the mastermind was Qiu Long. Qiu Long, it's him. Hearing the word Qiu Long, Zhang Xingyun showed a look of understanding. He had suspected that it was him before, but now after hearing what his eldest brother said, he was 100% sure that it was him. By the way, you should also pay attention to the Luo family in Shenzhen. They are also involved. Luo family? The one who is the manager behind the Nanayan black market? Yes, it's that one. I won't hide it from you. Long before, the Luo family in Shenzhen was bribed. It was a hidden man arranged by the Rockets. I see. Zhang Xingyun nodded. I came back from Neon Country a while ago and heard some rumors. Then I found Luo Shang. Zhang Xingfeng recounted the previous events and also told them their plan. The Luo family also cooperated with Qiu Long to ambush and kill you. If nothing unexpected happens, you will receive a call from the Nanayan black market in a few days. Thank you for your reminder, brother. I didn't expect Qiu Long to value me so much that he actually found a champion trainer. Hearing what he said, Zhang Xingyun thanked him. Why should we be like this between brothers? This is what I should do as a brother. Qiu Long has not found a suitable opportunity to kill him in the past period of time, otherwise he would be a corpse now. Zhang Xingfeng said with murderous intent. Zhang Xingyun is his only remaining relative. As a brother, he must protect this younger brother. After hearing the plan mentioned by Luo Shang, Zhang Xingfeng had already had the intention to kill, but he still suppressed it. Killing Luo Shang is useless. Killing Luo Shang, there are other members. The main thing is to kill Qiu Long. Zhang Xingfeng had long wanted to kill Qiu Long and eliminate the threat for him, but he had not found a suitable opportunity in the past period of time. Perhaps, if they start to act, we can use their tricks against them. Zhang Xingfeng seemed to have thought of something and said, use their tricks against them? Yes, use their tricks against them. Then, Zhang Xingfeng told the two of them what he thought. As far as I know, Qiu Long is a rebellious person who will take revenge for any slight. His 2 Pokémon have broken through to the first level of champions, and he has the help of Luog, the champion trainer, and several trainers at the first level of the king. This is also the courage he wants to kill you. Zhang Xingfeng said slowly. Zhang Xingyun and Nangang Yao nodded and thought it made sense. Judging from the strength Zhang Xingyun showed now, he has the strength of a peak king, and he only has a champion level crystal steelix on hand. So, against this lineup of 2 champions and several kings, Zhang Xingyun is doomed. 2 champion trainers plus several top level trainers. Together, to deal with a top level trainer. Wouldn't it be easy? However, they didn't know that Zhang Xingyun in front of them was an undercover who would tell him their loop. While the three of them were discussing, Qiu Long was talking to his subordinates in a base of Team Rocket. In a few days, Wild Wolf, you can take action. Remember to act more realistically, Qiu Long said to a tall man with a burly figure and short hair. This is the leader of the Wild Wolf organization. Wild Wolf. Before, Wild Wolf defected to King Lang of Team Rocket, and then met Qiu Long. So what happened next? Yes, I guarantee to complete the task. Upon hearing this, Wild Wolf stood up and replied in a deep voice. Okay, if this mission is successful, I will fulfill my promise. Qiu Long also had great confidence in this event. This time he was deliberate, and there was a mysterious elf sent by his uncle. This was a sure win. Zhang Xingyun, I want to see how you can escape this time. A fierce look flashed in Qiu Long's eyes. Remember, this mission is very important to me. You should say what you should say, and remember to shut up if you shouldn't say anything. Treat it as a confidential mission. Qiu Long stood up and said sternly to the people in front of him. Hearing this, several people stood up and responded in unison. Has the electric shock monster grown to this point? Time flies so fast. In the champion town, Zhang Xingyun looked at the electric shock monster in the distance and sighed. At the beginning, he should have given the electric shock monster, which was still a Pokémon egg, to Zhang Xingyun to cultivate. Zhang Xingyun also released his Pokémon and let them go out for a walk. Raw Nido Super Armor Rhino and Nidoking said on the side, and the Tajengas beside them were also talking in a babble. The Pokémons of both sides talk to each other. It's been almost 2 years, so there will naturally be changes. Zhang Xingyun replied with a smile. Divine Beast Richalock. Xingyun, you are also a Divine Beast user. Zhang Xingyun said as he looked at Richalock standing still beside him. Well, it was really lucky to meet him at that time. The two brothers were drinking wine and chatting under the moon. Chapter 800 begins. The two brothers drank and sighed about the past. I never thought that the two brothers in Qingshu town could achieve such success in the past. Ping, the sound of wine bottles colliding rang out, and the two laughed and drank another bottle of wine. If the secret realm had not come, I wonder what kind of situation we would be in. Zhang Xingyun looked up at the sky and said with a smile. It's hard to say. Zhang Xingyun drank until he was a little drunk and lay on the grass. Nidoking and other elves were all around, so there was no need to consider safety. Nangang Yeo in the house looked at the two people who seemed to be counting stars, smiled, and said nothing, sat back on the bed, and started practicing. Her ability level was not as good as Zhang Xingyun, and she was only at the peak of the early stage of the king. Time passed quickly, and the sky turned pale. Zhang Xingyun on the grass moved, and then opened his eyes. There was a thin energy shield around his body, separating the morning dew. Where is the eldest brother? Is he gone? Zhang Xingyun looked a few times, but did not see Zhang Xingyun's figure, and his elf was gone in the distance. Big brother left. This is the communicator he left behind. He said that he would contact him after the plan started. Nangang Yeo's figure flashed and came to Zhang Xingyun, holding a communicator in his hand. Okay. Zhang Xingyun took the communicator, put it in his space backpack, got up and went to the bathroom to take a shower. After breakfast, Zhang Xingyun asked someone to come to the company. When he arrived, he saw Lin Ji's face full of joy. What's wrong? Is there something good? Seeing him like this, Zhang Xingyun said. My fast boxer broke through to the Quasi King this morning. I have to thank you for your help, Xingyun. Lin Ji said seriously. During this period, he received a lot of guidance from Zhang Xingyun and was given energy cubes. Now his fast boxer has broken through to the Quasi King. From now on, he is also a trainer at the Quasi King level. Trainers of this level are also in the upper middle level in the trainer industry. Really? Then congratulations. Zhang Xingyun said with a smile. Ha ha ha. Lin Ji laughed happily. He had never dared to think about becoming a Quasi King before, but now he has achieved it. Although compared to some people, this is nothing, but for him, this is a great achievement. I have to work hard in the future to repay Xingyun's help. Lin Ji knew that he was able to achieve this with the help of Zhang Xingyun, and all he could do now was to do a good job of company security to ensure that the last attack on the company would not happen again. You must continue to work hard and persevere. You can go further in training. If you don't understand, you can also ask me. Oh, I don't know how to thank you, Lin Ji said excitedly, and he was also glad in his heart that he had met Zhang Xingyun at the beginning. He was his benefactor. If it weren't for him, he wouldn't be where he is today. After a few words of encouragement, Zhang Xingyun came to the office and began to handle affairs. Lin Ji was so happy. He could understand that it was not easy for ordinary trainers to reach this point. His talent is average and his mind is not active. Without his help, it will take a long time for him to break through to the qua seeking. Zhang Xingyun gathered his mind, picked up the document at hand and started reading. After staying for a whole morning, in the afternoon, the company's affairs were handed over to Cheng Zhu and others. Zhang Xingyun and Nangang Yao left the company and went to the wild to find suitable elves to fight and accumulate experience. After seeing Zhang Xingyun's rapid progress, Nangang Yao also paid more attention to fighting and went out for training more often. It also achieved good results. For several days in a row, the two of them did this. After handling company affairs, they went to the wild for training and also rushed to Donking City to participate in its construction. Their days were calm and fulfilling. One day, when Zhang Xingyun was looking at the document, the mobile phone on the side suddenly rang. Who called? Zhang Xingyun asked puzzledly, looking at the unfamiliar number on the phone interface. Puzzled. Hello. Who is this? Is this Mr. Zhang Xingyun? I'm the person in charge of the Nanayan black market, Rosen. A man's voice came from the phone. It was Rosen from the Nanayan black market. Oh, hello, Mr. Luo. Is there anything going on? Or is there any progress on the matter I asked you to do? Zhang Xingyun couldn't help but reveal an inexplicable smile on her face. It seemed that they were going to take action, and Rosen's next words also responded to her thoughts. Yes, the man in black robe appeared in front of us and is currently resting in our room. I remembered your earlier instructions, Mr. Zhang, so I paid attention to him, Rosen said with a smile on the other end of the phone. Moreover, his appearance has also been exposed. I will send you a picture of his appearance. Ding dong. Zhang Xingyun clicked on the picture he opened. On the picture, it was a wild wolf wearing a black robe, exactly the same as the wild wolf photo he collected before. Zhang Xingyun laughed in his heart and continued to talk to him. Really? Then please drag him away. I'll be there right now. I'm out of town now, but I'll be there soon. Zhang Xingyun said hurriedly, seeming a little anxious. Don't worry, Mr. Zhang. We will buy time for you. Please come earlier, Rosen said politely. Okay, thank you for your help. Haha, no trouble, no trouble. It's our honor to work with you, Zhang Guanjun. We, the head of the family, also want to make friends with you. I hope that in the future, we can gain your friendship, Mr. Zhang. Haha, you're polite. I will visit Mr. Luo some other day and thank you for your help, Mr. Luo. Welcome, welcome. After a few polite words, both sides hung up the phone. Did that kid take the bait? In front of Rosen, Wild Wolf was sitting, saying with a cynical look on his face. Well, he said he would be here soon. Rosen put down the phone and sat back in his chair. Haha, if everything goes well, this day next year will be the anniversary of this kid's death. You say, if he dies here, wouldn't it be bad? After all, he is a champion of a competition. Rosen hesitated. This is what that adult meant. How can it be good or bad? At most, your Luo family members will leave and return to the rockets, saving you from eating from both ends. It's very cool. Tut tut tut. They have started their plan. After hanging up, Nangang Yao in front of Zhang Xingyun said, it has started, then contact Big Brother and tell him. Hearing this, Nangang Yao urged, yes. Zhang Xingyun took out the communicator left by Zhang Xingfeng earlier, clicked it, contacted Zhang Xingfeng, and told him about Rosen's call just now. He also got his reply. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.